Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for the city clerk to please call the roll.
All council members are present.
Thanks very much. Would you all stand with me for saying the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a brief moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. The city clerk posted orders of adjournment of the September 24th, 2019 meeting and the agenda of the October 8th, 2019 meeting in accordance with state law, council, and housing authority policy. We have a couple items today under presentations. For the first presentation, I'd like to invite Director of Recreation Frank Carson to the podium to share with us a little bit about the Kaboom at Wells Park. Hi, Frank.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I want to do a brief presentation about a refresh grant we got at Wells Park. Kaboom offers these grants on an annual basis, and with the encouragement of a few of our council members, we applied for this refresh grant. If you remember from memory, we had a Kaboom playground build and beautification project at Wells Park in June of 2014. From there, we put in a 6,000 square foot playground, a lot of sidewalk art and other fun games for youth to play in. The national nonprofit that organizes this is Kaboom, and the funding partner for this is Foresters. In the September council meeting, you approved a grant from Kaboom. It's a $10,000 grant, and what we'll be doing is on this coming Saturday at Wells Park, we'll have about 50 volunteers. About 30 of those will be from Foresters Financial, and the funds go directly toward art projects in the park, new benches, new recycle bins, new play features. They have some new drum features that we'll be installing at the park, new fiber, which is engineered wood fiber, and we'll also be doing a large park cleanup, and some other art projects within the park. We are already full with our volunteers, so that we've been asked to cap it at 50. So we're pretty excited about this opportunity. It's going to meet from 8 a.m. to 12 noon this Saturday. If you see right here, this is another photo taken at the park on that June day in 2014. This wall is still up with handprints of everybody that came and helped volunteered, and we're going to add to that wall this coming Saturday. You'll see some familiar faces in this photo. So this is from 5 years ago, or just about 5 years ago at Wells Park. So we had 300 volunteers on that day. We'll be moving about 30 cubic yards of fiber or mulch this coming Saturday, along with other beautification projects in the park. So hopefully you'll drive by Saturday afternoon right afterward, and you'll see some great stuff. We just want to make sure that you are aware of it as part of the grant request. We're supposed to also present before you here at Council.
Thanks very much. Let me see if there's any questions for you. Council? Thanks, Frank. Appreciate it. Next is a proclamation for National Planning Month, and I would like to invite the Director of Community Development, Tony Shute, to the podium to present the proclamation. Hi, Tony.
Mayor and Council, good afternoon. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce members of your Planning Commission. They wouldn't mind coming up here and standing next to me. We have Darren Moroz, our chair, Veronica Longoria, our vice chair, and Tony Sotile, and two members of staff, if they would too come on up. Melissa Devine, our planning manager, she leads the planning team, and Alfonso Camacho. Whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month to highlight the contributions sound planning and plan implementation make to the quality of our communities and environment. And whereas the National Community Planning Month also gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of City of El Cajon planning commissioners, staff planners, and administrative support staff who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the City of El Cajon. And whereas Planning helps manage community changes and identify infrastructure to benefit the community. Now, therefore, I, Bill Wells, Mayor of the City of El Cajon, together with the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2019 to be Community Planning Month in the City of El Cajon. So I would please ask the Council and everybody to join in applauding the many valuable contributions made by the City of El Cajon Planning Commission, as well as the staff in concert with the City Council. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Darren, you want to say a word? Or?
Appreciate this. I mean, really, staff, you make us look great up there. You've always done your homework, and I think we're all on the same page when just wanting to see smart development in El Cajon. And I think everybody realized over the last 10 years all the hard work that everybody's done, council, staff, in beautifying the city. I mean, the Magnolia is right out there. There's a perfect example. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, Darren. And thanks to everybody who works on the Planning Commission. It's a lot of work. It's almost no recognition, no pay, but we really appreciate your dedication. I think most of us up here were on the Planning Commission for at least a period of time. Thank you. All right, that brings us to agenda changes. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we'd like to take off the agenda item number 10, the administrative healing, the appeal with Angelo's Towing and Recovery. That will be postponed to the October 22nd meeting.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Okay. Council members, any agenda changes? No? All right. Then I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda change given to us by Graham. Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, that brings us to consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion, according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion on a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any consent items? Staff, do you wish to pull any consent items?
No, sir.
Angela, do we have any speaker cards for the consent items?
No card, sir.
Then I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent items. Moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
That brings us then to public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, or a successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time that the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions. An item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have any cards under public comment?
Yes, sir. We have two speakers. The first one is Arkan Somo.
Arkan, it's been a long time.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council member, and staff. My name is Arkan Somo. I'm the president of the Neighborhood Market Association. And I have to apologize. I can't stay for the agenda item. Allow me just a couple of minutes to give you my thoughts. I have a board meeting at 3:30. And hopefully we come back again and address this tobacco issue. So let me start by saying the members of the Neighborhood Market Association is very committed to the safe and the healthy of our neighborhood and our community. We have a great history working together with the City of El Cajon, Prevention Group, Concerned Citizens over the years, and we came up with great results. You guys remember when we talked about when we engaged with the alcohol deemed approved. We worked very effectively together. And for those who were around, when CASA used to stand for Community Against Substance Abuse, they contracted us, the Neighborhood Market Association, and we created a great tobacco training program called Respect. After we implemented 6 months, the violation in the City of El Cajon went from almost 70% down to 0. What I'm urging you today, council members, is to table this issue. There's a lot of emotions high. I know we react, this knee-jerk reaction. And all I'm trying to remind you that let's go back to our history. Bring the stakeholders together, if it's the community, citizen concerns, prevention group, and let's talk about the issues that really are important and how can we address them. I can give you one thought that kind of put in perspective. People are upset about vaping. I understand there is maybe somebody's going to propose banning vaping in the city of El Cajon. What I want to ask you is, who's that going to actually hurt? The companies who make the vaping? I can assure you that's not going to hurt them an iota. Because if you ban it in El Cajon, everyone who's vaping today in El Cajon is going to go to La Mesa, Spring Valley, Santee, and what have you. Who you're going to hurt are the family business owners who we represent, who are selling the legal product. So instead of doing that, why don't we come to the table and find other solution? Not to mention, you have the President of the United States who already voiced his concern. He doesn't like the flavor, and he's trying to do something on the federal level. You have the governor of the state of California also concerned. So maybe within 90 days, maybe these larger jurisdictions might address some of these issues that this council might not need to address. So I don't want to take too much of time. Please table this for another 90 days. We are more than willing. God knows our history shows that we have a lot of good people, hard-working people who have invested in the city of El Cajon, family-owned businesses that you really don't want to just kind of run through this down their throat, which is going to result in them losing a lot of their livelihood. Thank you. If you have any questions. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me see if there's some questions.
I do have a question. The CDC tells us that tobacco smoking will result in the death of 50% of smokers. We caught 43 stores selling to kids in the last couple of years. So that means statistically about 21 of those kids will eventually die from the tobacco. Now, is that too many deaths, not enough deaths, or just about the right amount of deaths of these kids?
Mr. Kendrick, the Neighborhood Market Association, and me personally, believe strongly one death is too many deaths for that matter.
And do you guys have a phone tree when we sting them and they call all the other stores, tell them don't sell tobacco to kids today?
I would really appreciate if you let me finish that statement, okay? So, Mr. Kendrick, retailers who are violating the law today, there are plenty of laws in the book that says they need to be penalized, and they are repeated offenders. They get to be suspended, and eventually they might even lose their license. So those retailers for tobacco or any other product that is not supposed to comply with the law, there are already remedies on that. Now, if you want to have a discussion in addressing these remedies and change them and modify them, we are more than willing to have that discussion. But we need to realize at the end of the day, when you have a clerk, at the end of the day is a human error. The goal is not to put them out of business, but make them understand that they need to be a part of the solution, and that's why you have these penalties.
So what you're saying is the clerks aren't responsible enough to sell an item that will kill 50% of the buyers.
That's not what I said.
That's the effect of it.
Yeah, I understand that. And like I said, at the end of the day, we urge you to wait the 90 days. Let me give you one example. I just was outside and somebody stated that they don't know anyone who have quit smoking because of vaping. That goes against every study that has been shown. There are a lot of people who are moving to vaping and they have quit the nicotine. Most of the death that I read about, and I'm concerned about every death. And by the way, in case of those who don't know, I don't smoke. I get nauseated from secondhand smoking. I own a restaurant 30 years ago, and I banned smoking in my restaurant, way before the prevention group was successful to convince our legislators. But the point is this. There's a lot of misinformation, and that's why you need to take a step back. Take a breather, and let's talk, what are the issues? What are we talking about? I just gave you a couple examples. What you're trying to do today is not going to address the issue that you're concerned about. But bring the stakeholders to the table. Find where their issues are. Let's work together. We have a great history of doing that. Why stop now? These are my thoughts.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you again. I appreciate your,
Thanks, sir. Archon, hope you make your next meeting. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We received an additional card, so the next speaker is Suhail Savaro.
Dr. Zavarro.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I am Suhail Zavarro. I'm a cardiologist practicing in El Cajon. I am very proud to be practicing here in El Cajon. 5 years ago, I came to this council exactly on July 22nd, 2014, and I presented to you about the toxic effects of e-cigarettes and nicotine. And I did mention that e-cigarettes contain other additives that have their own toxicity. Such additives included nitrosamine and diethylene glycol, which cause cancer and are carcinogens. And now we can see the effects of those additives in the e-cigarette smoking. Nowadays, we have an epidemic of new severe lung disease that is related to vaping e-cigarettes. More than 18 people died because of vaping-related acute lung injury that required them to be hospitalized in the intensive care units. And 1,080 patients have been hospitalized with severe acute lung injury. 40% were intubated and were in mechanical ventilator because of this severe acute lung injury. At Mayo Clinic, they found out that this injury is secondary to the toxic chemical fumes coming from these vaping and e-cigarettes. And very recent study from University of California in San Francisco found surprising results that the risk of heart attacks in e-cigarettes user and vaping is twice as common as in those who don't vape. I am a heart doctor, but truly I didn't know that until I reviewed the subject a few days ago, and I found that e-cigarettes also double the risk of heart attacks. So we have the acute lung injury and the heart attacks, and who knows what's coming in the future about the cancer. Vaping should be prohibited, especially when additives of cannabis and other flavors. I would like to share very few statistics. 11% of high school students use vaping. 15% use marijuana. More than 4 million American teenagers vape regularly, and the number is increasing. The worst thing is among 8th grader, vaping has doubled over the last year to 10% among 8th graders. And early adoption of vaping is a gateway to the use of regular cigarettes. And 8th graders who vape are 10 times more likely to eventually use cigarette smoking. I strongly recommend that not only this council ban vaping devices, I think this council should ban completely e-cigarette in the city of El Cajon. We have to look into the future. We have to save the health of the next generation from this vaping poisonous epidemic. And thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
The last public comment speaker is Liz Vagani.
Hello, how are you?
Hi there.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Liz Vagani, and I'm actually the branch manager at the El Cajon Public Library. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I wanted to take a moment during public comment to update you guys on a really great program that we have going on at the library. We have lots of unique services, and this is one that particularly merits highlighting, particularly here in El Cajon. Library High School is a county-wide program offered by San Diego County Library where adults have the opportunity to earn a free accredited high school diploma through an online service that the library is providing. Potential students will go online and take a prerequisite evaluation course and are screened in person or over the phone by a library staff member to make sure that they do qualify for the program. If the student is approved, and nearly all of them are approved, then the library then subsidizes their participation in this online high school program. The program is fully paid for by San Diego County Library, and we're able to supplement those scholarships as well with a grant from the California State Library. The student then has 18 months to complete their coursework with support provided by the library high school staff online. Those are teachers and counselors through a separate service that the library is subsidizing. The library will make sure that those students have access to computers and the internet. They can come in, they can use our space. We do have some rare occasions where we even will be able to give the students a laptop to be able to do their work at home to help them be successful. This program is particularly exciting here in El Cajon because 18% of residents over the age of 25 do not have a high school diploma in the city of El Cajon. In fact, 8 residents from El Cajon have already graduated so far through our program. We have 8 more currently who are going through the process and completing their coursework, and an additional 12 who have completed their prerequisite course and are working on getting their interviews all set and getting started. One of our students is a woman who chooses to do much of her coursework at the library. She has a computer at home, but really finds the encouragement from the library staff every time she comes in, gives her a little bit of an extra boost. And she recently sent us an email saying, "Thank you for your encouragement. This is a fantastic opportunity I have been given by the library." The stories of these people who are trying to complete their diplomas are amazing. They're astonishing. And throughout the county, we have quite a few graduates, and every year we do have a graduation ceremony at the County Administration Center. But I wanted to speak about this today because I think that it's a program in El Cajon that could use more recognition and more publicity. If you have any questions about Library High School or any of the other programs or services we provide for the community, please don't hesitate to ask. Make sure to stop by the library soon for a book or a movie. We checked out about 45,000 of those last month. Program, we had 112 in September with 2,200 people in attendance last month. Or just a chance to sit and relax and be with your neighbors, because if you're wondering where your neighbors are, there's a pretty good chance that one of them is at the library on any given day, because we see about 1,000 visits every day through our doors. Thank you for your time.
Is there a phone number and/or a website that people can go to if they're interested?
Specifically, if you're looking for any library programs, it's sdcl.org. And if you go to libraryhighschool.org, that will route you directly to our program. We have purchased that domain name.
And is there a phone number they should call? Or
they can call the library, 619-588-3726.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No more cards, sir.
Okay, great. There are no written communications on today's agenda. There are no public hearings on today's agenda. It takes us to administrative reports. We have several administrative reports today. Item 11 is a report on a code of ethics and conduct for elected officials and appointed officials. And staff, would you please tell us about this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're pulling up the PowerPoint right now on that. Oops. So first of all, I'm really excited to see that our community is so passionate about this agenda item. So we have so many people here today for this. But in all seriousness, on August 13th, the city council received a presentation from staff with a draft code of ethics and conduct for elected and appointed officials. That presentation resulted in a good conversation with the city council, and out of that came some feedback for some changes that the city council would like to see in a final policy. This staff report or this agenda item encompasses those policy changes. So as in the previous report or the previous agenda policy, there is a bit of a preamble which establishes some foundational statements about what is important to the city of El Cajon, and it really becomes these guiding principles for the following ethics and code of conduct that is in the policy. And as you recall, our council member Ortiz is the one that suggested this verbiage. One of the feedback points that council gave is we initially presented 16 different statements, and the council asked for staff to whittle those statements down to about 10. So we've actually done that, and we've been able to incorporate some similar statements or areas of code of ethics or standards into each other. And so we've been able to do that and provide the 10. This is just the list of the first 5. Act in the public interest, comply with both the letter and spirit of the law and the city codes. There's a section on the conduct of council members, both while acting in your capacity as a council member, but also in your personal lives. Discussion should be based on merit, and there should be good, open communication and between council members. Staff also included, and these are the other 5, conflict of interest, gift and favors, a section on gift and favors, receiving gifts and favors, using confidential information for city business only, how we advocate for other people and the use of city's resources, and of course creating a positive work environment. For each of these statements that you see on the screen, there's, of course, a brief paragraph that describes what that standard looks like. And I think we've been able to strike this balance between being brief and simple, yet having enough comprehensiveness to have enough meat to make sense of things. It's important to note that some of these conflicts or some of these codes of conduct are also governed by state law, but we reference those as well. Lastly, the section that we presented to the council in August included a section on admonition and censure. Those range from sort of the least or the most informal, which would be an informal admonition, to a full censure. It's important to note that although the censure carries no fine, there are abilities within the censure program or resolution eventually that the council could strip a council member, a fellow council member, of responsibilities and city assignments. So if there's no questions, at this point staff would recommend that the City Council adopt a resolution which would replace policies A23 and A24, which include other types of codes of ethics and conduct, replace it with this comprehensive code of ethic, which would be the new policy A23. Staff's available to answer any questions or receive additional feedback.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Bob?
Yes, on that number 5, you go back to that slide. Mm-hmm. Communication between council members. I think the public needs to know that we don't communicate on the issues on the agenda prior to the meeting, because if we did, that's against the law. And some cities, I'm sure, in the past have done this, gotten in trouble, but they've decided the issue before they even come before the public, and that's what's illegal. And so we have certain rules on that we can't communicate maybe with one other council member, and that's where it would stop. And but you can't make your decisions before the council meeting. So I think the public needs to be aware of the communication and what you meant by that.
That's correct.
Bob, you make a really good point in that it can't be a done deal when you walk in the door. Otherwise, why have a public meeting if it's already been decided? So we can only talk to one other council member. That's it. That's called the Brown Act, and this council has been really great about following that. And I want to commend Councilmember Ortiz for coming up with this. This is a great idea. Right now, we have a great council. It may not always be like that. So, and we've had problems in the past. So that's the reason that this is up here, and I intend to support it.
Not only that, thank you, Councilmember Kendrick, that it provides the council a barometer of how we should be acting, but it provides the public a barometer and a guide to how you should hold us accountable for our conduct as elected officials. And I think that's the most important thing. I would like to see, if the council adopts this posted on our website on the city council page, so anyone can look up how your elected officials should be acting.
Let's see if there's any speaker cards on this before we go on.
No cards, sir.
Okay. That leaves you.
One other comment is I think it's really important, and it talks about this in this policy, that every person in the audience feels comfortable coming up here and expressing their opinion, even if we might not agree with it. Right. We might say, no, I don't. Here's why I don't agree with it. But you have to feel comfortable coming up here and talking to us, because I've learned to never make up my mind before the meeting. Listen, sometimes during a meeting, I'll say, oh, I'll go this way. And then someone says something else, and I go, oh, I'll go that way. And it'll change several times in the meeting, because there's nothing that's just black and white. It's always shades of gray. So, again, I think this is really important.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution replacing City Council policies 823 and 824 with the Code of Ethics and Conduct for elected and appointed officials.
All right, moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Okay. I know everybody is here for one specific agenda item. So, staff, I'm going to move forward to that agenda item. If I just got to find it. This is the next one? Yeah. Oh, then I guess I've done it. Okay. Pardon me, then. Oh, there we are. Okay. Item 12 is a report on El Cajon Tobacco Retailers License Program. And I'd like to ask staff to introduce this item, please.
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Earlier this summer, on July 23rd, the Council directed staff to analyze the city's existing tobacco retailers license program and to look at some data and come back with some recommendations, if there were need for recommendations on some modifications to the program. As a refresher, the City Council created this program in 2007 and is part of an overall city tobacco policy. As a reminder, the city regulates the sale of tobacco products, which include what we traditionally consider tobacco products, as well as e-cigarettes, hookahs, other vapor inhalation products, etc. The city also requires that retailers or outlets that sell tobacco products obtain a license annually. That license currently costs $709. That fee is not increased since the 2007 date. And this fee helps pay for the compliance or the enforcement of the policy. There are currently 101 businesses in the city that have a tobacco retailer's license. And as part of the program, the ultimate goal is to curb or reduce or eventually eliminate the sale of tobacco products to those that are under the age of 21, which is set by state law. It's important to note that the policy also includes a list of penalties, and I'll just run through those penalties as a refresher. If a outlet is found to have sold tobacco product to someone under the age of 21 for the first time, that retailer has the option of either receiving a $1,000 fine, or they can take a 30-day suspension of selling tobacco products. So the retailer actually has the option or can choose which option they wish to take. Within a 5-year period, if that same retailer were to sell tobacco to someone under 21 a second time, they would receive a 90-day automatic suspension. And if that violation was found within 1 year of the first violation, there would be a $1,000 fine. And I'm going to come back to that important nuance of that within 1 year. If there's a third violation within 5 years, then they receive a 1-year suspension to sell tobacco products. And again, if that third violation is within 1 year of the first violation, then there's a $1,000 penalty. And finally, within that 5-year period, if a fourth violation occurs, that establishment loses the right to sell tobacco products altogether, and the license is revoked and can never be renewed. Again, if it's within the first year or 1 year within the first violation, there is a $1,000 penalty. Any questions about the penalties before I kind of move on? Okay. So really quickly, I wanted to show graphically where our establishments are located. The black dots are outlets that have not sold tobacco products to underage individuals within the last 3 years. The blue dots are outlets that have sold within at least one time. The yellow or orange dots are second-time violators, and the one red dot is a third-time repeater. As you can see, the distribution of tobacco outlets is well distributed amongst the community as well as the violators. This next data helped drive some of the recommendations that staff is bringing forward. And what we're showing is 3 years worth of compliance inspections. And for each year seen on this table, there's 3 bars. The blue bar and the red bars represent first-time violators. And we've distinguished those because I think it's important that the policymakers understand that the majority of individuals that are first-time violators opt to pay the fine, the $1,000 penalty. In fact, about 91% pay the penalty in the last 3 years. The red bar represents first-time violators, but those outlets opted to take the suspension, the 30-day suspension, in lieu of the $1,000 fine. The green bar, the lime green bar, are those that have repeated, for the most part, a second violation. In one of those bars includes a third-time violator. So that's sort of our data right there. And there's a couple things that popped out to staff. As you can see, since 2017, there has been a steady decline in first-time violators. However, we're still concerned about the number of outlets that are selling tobacco to underage customers. In fact, you can see that if you were to add up the blue and red bars for the last 3 years, that equals 47 outlets. There's 101 outlets. That's a little under 50% of our outlets in the last 3 years have sold tobacco to people that are under the age of 21. You can also see, despite the decline in first-time violators, there has been an increase in the number of second-time violators. Based on the data alone, staff concludes that our policy probably is not that effective. If the goal is to curb the sale of tobacco to minors or to underage individuals, we're not that effective when it's only effective half the time. So based on that, staff would like to recommend 3 suggestions for some modifications to the program, and we're really presenting these as a launching pad for discussion with the City Council, and we're hoping to get some additional feedback from the Council to bring something back more concrete based on your feedback. So we have three recommendations. One is there are a fair number of outlets that are compliant, and we would recommend that we actually reduce the annual license fee by about 20% for those individuals that have a track record of 3 consecutive years of complying with the ordinance, that they receive a discount on their license. We would also recommend that we no longer allow an outlet to choose between paying the $1,000 fine or the 30-day suspension, that we make a suspension automatic for 30 days, and that we include a nominal fine with that of $500. Second is, right now, the only time we fine second, third, and fourth violators is when the violation occurs within 1 year of the very first violation. We just don't monitor outlets that way. So that will almost never occur. And so we would recommend that we strike the language from the code that says within the first year of the first violation, and if you are found to be a second, third, or fourth violator, there's an automatic fine of $1,000 in addition to the suspension policy. For other considerations that the council may want to consider is maybe the length of time for a second violation. 90 days does not seem to be a big enough deterrent for some individuals or some outlets. Perhaps the amount of fine is too low. As you recall, we have fines up to $2,500 for marijuana dispensaries. And the City Council may wish to heavier regulate products that are identified in the city's policy. So with that, staff is opening up the discussion for the City Council. We are here to answer any specific questions about the policy, about the data that we analyzed, and to receive some additional feedback from the City Council.
Thank you, Graham. Excuse me. Council, any questions, or should we go on to public comment? Angela?
Sir, we have 50 speakers.
Okay, because of the number of speakers, I'm going to cut the time to 2 minutes, if that's acceptable with our council. Yeah. I want to hear what everybody has to say, but if it gets to the point where we're just repeating over and over again what you're saying, it's okay for you to just say, I weigh in with the side that you're weighing in on. All right, let's get started.
The first speaker is Jake Rubenstein.
You can give it to Angela there.
Thank you very much for your time, everyone. So I would love to comment specifically on some of the issues we're contemplating with what we call the vaping illness. My laboratory, my name is Jake Rubenstein. I run Nude Nicotine and Nude Nicotine Analytics. We're an analytical laboratory in a chemical production facility out of Mira Mesa, California. And we do a lot of analysis and work with the FDA and CDC regarding the vaping illness protocols. In the last couple of weeks, we've worked with specifically some clinicians and radiologists and another group of analytical chemists to hopefully drive down to a specific analytical protocol that we can then hone down the vaping illness to. I feel, I guess, a little bit at odds with the issue of thinking about separating the sale of flavor to children, which I wholeheartedly agree with. There should never be a sale of electronic cigarettes or nicotine or tobacco, for any matter, to children. However, I think there's a separate issue. Those 20, or just like Councilmember Kendrick noted, there was about 20 deaths or a few more as of the last couple of weeks. All of those deaths have been attributed to my substantial literature review with my clinician and radiologist colleagues, what we call vapor-induced endogenous lipid pneumonia. It's a lipid pneumonia, a pneumonia of the lungs, obviously coated with lipids that are sourced from adulterants. These adulterants are not present in e-cigarettes. E-cigarette products, at least with nicotine, we traditionally call these electronic nicotine delivery systems, ENDS. However, the lipid pneumonia in over 82% of confirmed cases from the CDC with the FDA's review has noted these as VELP. So myself as an analytical technician, I would urge a calm and collected conversation about a possible analytical protocol to define what would be safe for inhalation in El Cajon and what would not be safe.
We've run out of time, but somebody may ask you some questions. So.
Absolutely.
Questions?
Please feel free. It's a little bit of a higher
Just
level
one question.
Yes.
These vaping products that contain the lipids.
Yes.
Are these the vaping products that you find in the store, or is this associated with cannabis and that you get mostly from the internet?
It's a great question. Good. I'm glad you asked too. So most of them, if you look on the last page of my literature review, they are gray and black market cannabis and hemp products. The majority of these, they're lipid soluble. So imagine something that's oil soluble. Your standard e-liquid is a water soluble component. So anything that would constitute a marijuana oil or a CBD oil would be highly likely suspects for this analysis or this investigation. So I'd urge us to look at both products with discretion as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have a question.
Please.
Yeah, my neighbor used to use tobacco pipe, the tobacco and then the cans for the pipes.
Yeah.
And he'd put water in it and then spray his trees to kill all the bugs. Isn't nicotine actually a poison?
So in a certain concentration, in a certain sense, let's take, for example, you're a bug. You weigh 0.1 grams. If you spray 1 drop of nicotine on that bug, you're pretty much giving that bug 10% of its weight in nicotine. If I'm 180 pounds, then if you put me in 18 pounds of nicotine, I'm likely not going to have I'm going to have a bad time. But in context of what nicotine is, which is an acetylcholine receptor agonist, it's used throughout the body with similar chemistries, but its mediation and its concentration, which is the focus. If you consume too much of anything, if you consume too much nicotine, you're going to go into cardiac arrest. You're going to have poor digestive function. Too much of anything is poor.
And do you think nicotine is addictive?
When used properly, no. When used improperly, absolutely. I have too many friends that have abused nicotine itself. So I manufacture nicotine for a living. I distill nicotine from tobacco, and I've seen people.
So you make money from selling the nicotine?
I do, and I do make money for analyzing the nicotine for its safety, its purity, for the CDC's recommendation, for FDA's 21 CFR, and for any local accrediting bodies that require the analytics.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for this gentleman? Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I will call the next 3 speakers, please. If you can please, when you hear your name, step up to the podium. Julie Vish, Shannon Cozens, and Elaine Briggs.
So, Julie?
Hi, good afternoon.
Welcome.
First off, I want to say thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Julie Vish, and I've been an El Cajon resident since I was 1. I grew up in Rancho San Diego and own a home right off of 2nd Street. I am your constituents. So I began occasionally smoking cigarettes at the age of 16, shortly before I turned 17. I rarely had a problem purchasing my own cigarettes. I quickly became addicted to cigarettes, and my 1 cigarette at a party turned to a half pack a day. In September of 2016, my grandmother was diagnosed with lung cancer, and it had metastasized to her brain. She was a smoker. She died 6 weeks later. I was smoking about 3/4 of a pack a day, and exactly 1 month to the day of her death, I walked into Vaping 619. I had smoked for 17 years. I was 34 years old at the time. But that day, I vowed to change that. And I tried to quit smoking dozens of times before, and it had always gone back to smoking. Vaping changed my life. On December 16th, 2016, I spent an hour in the vape shop trying different flavors and picking out the type of mod I wanted. I was excited but apprehensive. God only knows how many times I had failed before. But this was different. The first week was hard, but not nearly as hard as it was before. Before I knew it, a month had passed, then 2, then 6, then a year. Everything about vaping let me kick this addiction. Not only have I now quit cigarettes, but I also quit nicotine, 100% because of vaping. One of the great things about vaping is that you control the amount of nicotine that you actually put in. You can have 6 milligrams or 0. I have a hand-to-mouth habit that I still have yet to break, but I'm working on it. I think the City Council is trying to help a bad situation, but it's completely misguided and naive. If you think El Cajon's vape ban is going to stop teenagers from vaping, you're willfully ignorant. A law forbidding me from smoking did not stop me from smoking at 16. The state of California has already raised the age from 18 to 21, and that did not change anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me see if there's any questions for you. Council, any questions? Oh, thanks for coming.
Shannon Cousins.
Hi, Shannon. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me today. My name is Shannon Cousins. I have been vaping for 10 years, almost 8 years exclusively, and heavily involved with advocating for the vaping community for over 5.5 years. I am currently involved with multiple companies on providing and ensuring that minors do not walk in the door. They are ID'd. When they walk in the door, they are ID'd and they are turned away immediately. I do believe that the minors do have a way to be able to get these into their hands by people that are breaking the law by allowing them to walk into the shop, be 18 or 21, depending on where you are in the States, and, and turning right back around, same as alcohol fishing, and turning right back around and giving it to these individual minors just because they're asked. My grandfather was 91 years old. He passed 2 years ago. He had smoked for over 70 years. He worked for General Dynamics, which was a very stressful job. But in that, he noticed that we were vaping. He had interest. My grandmother was not a smoker, had not smoked one day in her life, and it was affecting her health. My grandfather decided that he wanted to go ahead and switch over into vaping. He wound up getting down to 0 to 3 milligrams of nicotine, and my mom smoked for 42 years and now has been vaping for almost 10 years. We have all stayed away from tobacco products because we have all found flavors that helped us quit. My 13-year-old daughter, who is in 8th grade, wanted to be here today to speak on behalf of vaping, but her education is most important. She has written in her own words her thoughts. The last thing I want to see is teenagers using something that is meant to help adults stop an addiction. It is not acceptable, but it is not vapors' fault. Instead of the ban, we should educate more about vaping instead of making lies and to make it sound harmful and deadly to people. I do not want something taken away that has helped my whole family. The last thing anyone my age should be worried about is an adult's business or alternatives to smoking. Please, for the sake of other people's health and livelihood, hear us and do not ban flavors. Thank you.
Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Elaine Briggs. I have been a resident of El Cajon for 30 years. I've spent my adult career in the occupational health and safety field, trying to protect employees from vapors, gases, particulates, toxins. I support the proposed ban on all e-cigarette vaping products. I urge the council to join the state of Massachusetts in doing this, and San Francisco. Kroger, Walgreens, and Walmart have all banned selling e-cigarette products. Michigan, New York, Rhode Island have all banned flavored cigarettes, e-cigarette flavors. Illinois, New Jersey, and Delaware are looking at doing this. Until there's any further research that tells us anything differently, I urge this council to go ahead and ban all e-vaping cigarettes. Thank you.
The next three speakers are Chris Gasick, Francine Hardy, and Nelly Del Rosario.
Hello, Chris. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Councilman. My name is Chris Gasick, and I work for a distributor here in El Cajon that has been in business for 25 years. I can tell you some facts. The cigarette sales, traditional cigarette sales to adult consumers, has gone down about 9% every year, and vaping has gone up double digits. The one thing that was touched on a little bit was when you ban it, you will see a black market grow. Within that black market, you have no control of what these people are using. So in adults or children, you have no control over the black market. So I'd like to see some time also, maybe 90 days, to discuss with maybe the NMA and go over a valid restriction, not a total ban.
Thank you.
Hello, my name
Welcome.
is Francine Hardy, Mayor Wells, community, and council members. I'm a registered nurse, currently in cognitive neuroscience at San Diego State, and I have some things I feel that all of us need to know about in layman's terms. Some people feel that vaping is safe exposure to tobacco and THC, which is the active ingredient of marijuana. There's no tar delivery, but you do inhale active cancer-producing elements. You also inhale carbon monoxide, which robs your brain cells, and other cells of oxygen. The high heat with e-cigarettes, vaping, burns and can damage lungs, respiratory tract, mouth, and lips. When heated up, the vehicle that's delivering the ingredients in an e-cigarette is the metals are volatilized. You inhale heavy metals, including lead. I want to read something real quick from class. Heavy metal inhalation. There are metals like tin and nickel in the heating elements of the e-cigarette device. When these heat up the nicotine for inhalation, these heavy metals are volatilized. You breathe these into the passageways and lungs of yourself. This two elements, propylene glycol, diethyl glycol, which is antifreeze, you inhale when using an e-cig. These two chemicals cause what is commonly known as popcorn lung, medically called bronchiolitis obliterans. That wrecks your lungs. Okay, I've got lots of other stuff I'm not reading. So the other thing I wanted to
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but we've run out of time. But
okay.
Let me see if there's any questions. Somebody may. Counsel? Gary?
I'd like you to finish your sentence.
The other thing I would like to say is I'm glad there's a ban. This is evil for our children, for young adults, for all of us, for our community. And I would like to see you put more teeth into what you're doing here by increasing the penalty. So.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Nelly Del Rosario. I'm a vape shop owner. I got into this vaping industry because I was the one kid that didn't smoke cigarettes in high school, whereas my other friends did. And I've always tried to help my friends stop smoking cigarettes. And this was a business opportunity to help other people, other strangers, family, friends, to help quit cigarettes that we already know that kill almost close to 500,000 people every year. I just wanted to say I want to oppose the flavor ban because as a retail shop, we educate our consumers with everything that deals with vaping, and that's it.
Good job. Thank you.
Eliana Mabin.
You know, hold on one second, please. Now you've all the way sat down. I didn't realize that Councilmember Goebel wanted to talk to you. So can you come back?
How do the products that you sell differ from those that people purchase off of the internet or non-retailing source?
I believe the products that we sell in our shop is reputable companies, and it is not from the black market that those THC cartridges have been known to be linked with the CDC saying it on the actual website, linking it to THC cartridges on the black market. I sell only things that are FDA approved products that are on the market right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Eliana Mabin, Rebecca Ermay, and Molly Sylvester are next.
Hi, guys. My name is Eliana Rabin. I hope everyone's doing good today. I'm not here to say anything that is not actually backed up by facts. I just wanted to point out that I do work at a vape shop, and I myself smoked when I was 14 years old. I remember I was outside of a mall with some older kids, and I was 14 years old. I had no idea that it would lead to 10 years of me smoking traditional cigarettes. About 3 years ago, I was driving on the highway in my hometown, actually from Wisconsin, and I had a panic attack. I don't know why. I just knew that I had a panic attack. And usually I would go to nicotine to help me settle down. I went to reach for a pack of cigarettes, and it made my panic attack worse. And as I stand here in front of you, I am nervous because I'm not good at public speaking, so sorry if I'm a little shaky. It It was literally the same day that I had thrown away the pack of cigarettes that I went to a vape shop, and I knew nothing. I had so many questions to ask them, and all they did was help me. Fast forward 2.5 years later, and I'm tobacco-free. I don't smoke at all. And unfortunately, there is a side to where youth is always going to have something in their hands that is for adult use. I'm pretty sure half of us in this room can say that we did something stupid when we were teenagers, believe it or not. And it affected adult use, am I right? But the matter is, we do need regulations. I just want to point out that I'm holding an actual e-juice here. It's blueberry limeade. And the ingredients inside are propylene glycerin, UPS vegetable glycerin, UPS food artificial flavoring, and nicotine. There's no antifreeze that I can say. I am not a doctor. I am not a radiologist, cardiologist, but what I do is I speak from experience. And I help people every day that I can help them stop smoking. That's my goal. I don't want anyone to smoke for 10 years. I mean, I have reputable damage to my health from that I'm probably going to work on until I'm around my 30s or more. I just want to shed some light and say, I think every person has a voice, whether we're against each other or not, but we really do have to think about how easy we can make it for everybody, not just one side of the party.
All right. Thank you. Hold on. Young lady.
Come back for a second. Well, first of all, I want to tell you did very well, okay? You're a good public speaker. I just had one question for you.
Yes.
Do you believe we should increase the penalties for selling tobacco to kids?
I'm going to say I don't agree with it, but I do think that there is a way where it can be fair for everyone. And may I add one more comment?
Sure.
There will be an increase in probably black market if it is banned, because unfortunately there is ways where you can get a hold of 100% liquid nicotine from any website, and people can mix that with a 0 milligram of juice. So if flavors are banned, there's going to be people who are going to try to sneak their way around it and make their own juice, and that's dangerous because they're not like the guy who works in the lab. He works with actual ingredients, and I didn't even know that there was such labs like that. I know there's manufacturers who go through people like that. But to know that that's actually existent in this market, I don't think there's lab for cigarette companies that back up facts of if you do this, it's safe, but if you mix it with whatever they're doing illegally, then it's not safe. So at least vaping communities, they have that to fall back on where it's actual facts. It's not just a big tobacco company ruining child's lives. That's not our goal.
Thank
you.
We
just don't like tobacco-flavored juice. It's not nice. Thanks, guys.
Rebecca Ermay, Molly Sylvester, and Dana Stevens are next.
Hi, welcome.
Hi. I'm Rebecca.
Pull that microphone down a little bit there.
Oh, sorry.
No, you just pull it down.
Oh.
There you go.
Sorry, I'm 5 foot. I'm not used to this.
We're
So I'm actually a coworker of Eliana's. We both work together at Fresh Vapes, and I don't really have a bunch of facts and statistics to throw at you. But what I do have to throw at you is I was adopted as a child, and I didn't get to meet my biological parents until I was 19. By then, I was already grown, and they wanted to build a relationship with me. However, my biological father had been smoking cigarettes since he was 12. He is now 57. Because of this industry that I found myself in, and I saw the benefits of, all my coworkers, my family, everything like that, I was able to get my 57-year-old biological father onto vaping, and now he has circulation back in his hands and feet. He can run, he can jump, he can be active, and he'll be able to see his kids grow up, his grandkids grow up, and maybe, if we're lucky, his great-grandkids grow up. And he was actually able to go out and do something he loved, which was racing. He had a 57-year-old man out there going 180 miles an hour because he was able to quit smoking via vaping. He was able to knock it down to 0 milligrams nicotine.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. My name is Molly Sylvester, and
Hi,
thank
welcome.
you for allowing me to have a voice here today. I just want to mention that I don't believe that this product is safe, but it's definitely less harmful from all the statistics that I've read in the reports that I've seen. I believe that we're dealing with two separate issues here. We have the keep it out of the hands of our youth, And we need to get the public awareness out there as to what product is causing the sickness and the illness that is happening in these last 5 months of this outbreak that's gone on. I'm going to focus on the importance of getting that information out there, and one of my partners is going to talk more directly about the youth aspects because of our time here. So the FDA has disclosed that all the e-liquids that they have tested, that there have been none of the ingredients of the vitamin E acetate. That has been one of the big culprits that they have stated. The FDA says don't use THC vapes. FDA as lung injury, death toll increases of vaping products of any kind obtained off the street. They say that they will withhold the existing laws but will not impose a flavor ban. They say that they have told state officials on Wednesday that the lab test found nothing unusual in the nicotine products that have been collected from the sick patients. And I want to make note that all of us have had to register our ingredients with the FDA. And they say if you take any adult smoker and fully switch them over to e-cigarettes, that would have a substantial help on public health. The CDC says use of THC-containing e-cigarette products, the majority of which were pre-filled cartridges obtained from informal sources, was reported by 87% of the patients during the 3 months prior to this preceding illness. These products have been on the market and sold across the world for over 10 years. This is an outbreak that's happened in the last 5 to 6 months. Common sense leads us to the conclusion that there's something new out there that is causing this damage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you for coming. Are you in the vaping business?
I do. I own a vape
You're the
store.
one by the old In-N-Out Burger?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not in the city limits.
I do know.
It's the county that you're probably going to want to go to because they have the same thing coming up.
Yes, I'm talking to them.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hi, Jenna. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I just wonder if it's okay to let Jill Bartow go ahead of me because she has to leave.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak before my turn. I have a meeting to get to. But just in your packets tonight was the Cajon Valley Union School District. We voted to have resolution to look at banning the flavors of the vaping devices. And I absolutely support that. I had a personal experience with vaping. I don't vape, never have, never will. But because I inhaled some vaping from someone nearby, I ended up sick and in the hospital with pneumonia. And that is a great concern to myself and to our children in our communities. We have children in our schools from K to 8, and they have access to the flavors, most particularly the flavors, because they are marketed to our children. You can go to any 7-Eleven store today and buy a vaping device for 99 cents. If that's not marketing to our children, I don't know what is. If flavored vaping juices are not marketing to our children by having gummy bears, other flavors that our kids use and like every single day, then I don't know what is. I would support you banning the flavors, and then look into it, maybe give it a 90-day trial, see how it works. And also, I would encourage any fines to be doubled or tripled on any store selling products to children. I think that needs to be the stiffest penalty possible. And I think not enough is being done, and I think we need to look at doing more. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Jill, I'm not keeping up with this. Steve had a question for you.
So, as a trustee for our local school district, where do you think kids are getting these products and devices?
I have talked to some adults that I've asked them about their kids, and they've actually allowed their kids to talk to me. They either buy them from high schoolers, especially in our middle schools, at the local parks, and some of them may have family and friends that get them for them. A couple people I spoke to have actually bought them in stores. They give the teller $4 or $5 for a $1 item, and the teller's going to turn their heads.
Okay, thank you.
Jill, what age where you see these kids vaping? What's typical?
We're seeing it more in our middle schools, and I believe it's only time until younger kids. But it's not only the kids that are vaping, it's the kids that parents are vaping and having this toxic chemicals in some of the vaping juices. Not all of them, but some of them do. And that's what's hurting our kids. That's what damaged me. That's what made me have pneumonia, is because of the vaping. I did not personally vape, but we're having parents vape, older youth vaping in cars with kids or around kids, and it's causing them damage.
Jill, right now, the penalty for the first time is either $1,000 or 30-day suspension of the license. In your mind, what would be reasonable?
I think 30 days minimum, and I think $4,000 to $5,000 minimum.
Okay,
we
thank
need
you.
to hit it in their pocketbooks.
All
These liquor stores,
Sir, please.
and tobacco vaping groups have a lot of money at their pocketbooks. $1,000 to them is nothing. And I think we need to make it stiff penalties. This is illegal, and this is just not right to our communities.
Oh, thank you, Trustee Bartow.
Bill, I have a follow-up question.
One more question.
So the flavors that are marketed to kids, I think, are a concern for everybody.
Yes.
I heard from one prior speaker that they are freely available on the internet. You can buy the juice, you can buy the nicotine, and you can mix your own stuff any way you want to. If someday we decide to ban the flavors from these retail shops, do we put our kids at even greater risk because the product that they get from family or friends is more dangerous because it's been cooked instead of FDA approved through a retailer? What's your thought on that point of view?
Just like drugs. Just like drugs and alcohol, we can outlaw them. We can outlaw marijuana. We can outlaw cocaine. We can outlaw alcohol. But alcohol, if it isn't banned, it can be made at home. We have drugs that are being sold to our kids and marketed to our kids and laced with fentanyl and other dangerous drugs. If it is begotten, it can be gotten. But we have to, as a community, take a stand and say some of this is hard or detrimental to our community and to our youth specifically. And if we don't take a stand and make a difference, then are we any better?
Okay,
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Bartow made reference to a resolution from the school district. That was not included in your packet because this agenda item isn't specifically about vaping, but I'll make sure the council gets a copy of that.
I appreciate that.
Dana Stevens, Elizabeth Martin, and Russell Webb.
Well, so the resolution's in this packet. You're getting it now. There you go. Sorry about that. Mayor Wells and Council, thank you for hearing this item tonight. I want to begin by thanking Graham for the presentation on the tobacco retailer licensing. And I want to begin by agreeing and providing support to the staff recommendation to increase the fine for the tobacco retailers who violate. $2,500 is certainly a minimum amount. And I also agree with the mandatory suspension for a first-time violator. He's right. We're seeing way too often the first-time violators. They spend the $1,000 fine. It's nothing to them. It's the cost of doing business. $2,500 is not much. I don't think it's enough for the marijuana violators either, but that's another council meeting, I presume. The other thing I believe that Graham is right on with the increase in the length of time for the suspension. We've been at this a long time on the tobacco retailer licensing. We saw huge improvements in sales to minors, and then we did begin to see an increase. So I want to support those recommendations. And then a couple of other items regarding the vaping devices. First, I want to clarify there is no FDA approval for any of the vaping devices or any of the juices. 100% of the Juul products contain nicotine, and there is no science that supports the vaping devices as a cessation device, although there are approved cessation devices. Regarding the where do young people get the vaping devices, a study has been released, and it indicates that 6% get their vaping devices from the internet. This is among youth. And 74% get their vaping devices from a retail sale location, a brick and mortar store. And that's what we're seeing here is the flavored tobacco products are what our decoys are buying at the retail stores here. When we switched over to buying the flavored devices, that's when we started getting the higher sales. In 2009, the FDA stopped allowing any flavored tobacco products with the exception of menthol. And that's when the industry, I think one of the other speakers spoke to the reduction in tobacco sales every single year. They needed a new source of income. And what did they do? They created these flavors. 15,500 flavors are known right now, to bring in a new generation of tobacco product users. All of the vaping device companies are owned by tobacco industry. No,
ladies and gentlemen,
manufacturers are. Yes.
Let's please keep things civil. Everybody's going to get a chance to talk. And
I see my time is up.
Bill?
Yes.
What does the CDC and the Surgeon General say about vaping?
No one should do it. I mean, that's the statements that have been coming out have been saying stop vaping, period. I think this threat that there's going to be a black market for vaping devices is the same threat we heard from the marijuana industry, that if we don't commercialize, we're going to have all this black market. And guess what? The black market in California for marijuana has quadrupled since 2016. We didn't get rid of the black market when we commercialized marijuana. We gave them cover. It gave them cover to sell a black market product. California produces 3 times more marijuana than is sold in California. That's black market. Any other questions? I'm sorry.
Steve.
To give us a sense of perspective, what does a 30-day suspension do for sales? What kind of sales are we looking at? Do you have any research studies?
Well, we brought you before the research study from the Industry Journal that talks about tobacco products that account for about $800,000 worth of sale at the average convenience store. So if you take that and you just divide by 12, that's what I did and came up with
$65,000 a month or something
about
like that.
So $2,500 is nothing.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dana, you were involved with a lot of these things. What do you know about this alleged phone tree they have?
Oh, well, as we were preparing for this meeting, we wanted to get better data for you specifically on the vaping products. And so we went out and we started making buys just to see what we could get for vaping products. And in the first handful of stores we went to, one of our young people is fluent in multiple languages and understands the Arabic and could hear them kind of screaming on the phone about they're coming out, they're trying to catch us. And calling on the phone to other people. Don't sell to anybody. So while we've always heard about it, we actually had someone witness that just in the last couple of weeks. It was the first day you went on TV, Gary, talking about it.
Sorry, I messed up your sting.
Yes, you did.
I have a question about the FDA. So I'm confused. Is there any government agency that validates the approval of any of these devices, or are they just being sold willy-nilly?
No, so the FDA does not currently regulate. The vaping industry had a timeline to provide documents to move through an FDA approval process. And in the last administration, at the very end, they requested an extension on that, and then they've recently been granted another extension. So while they are supposed to go through an approval process, that has not occurred at this time.
So just to be clear, if I wanted to go to a manufacturer, make vape cigarettes and sell them, I wouldn't have to get any kind of approval from the government?
No.
Okay.
It's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're all going to get a chance to speak, and there may be a different opinion on that. I'm glad to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, it's not. If you're asking about the FDA, there's not the approval process timeline has been extended. Now, if a company has gone through that process, but to date, the FDA says they do not have an approval process for electronic smoking devices at this time.
All right. And then I'm reading that this lipid pneumonia, in most of the cases, I think some 80% came from cannabis cartridges that were not illegal to buy in a store, but you buy on the internet. Is that true?
That's not what I believe to be true.
Tell me what you believe to be true.
Well, I just haven't seen that research. I mean, I don't know how that could be the final research when even here in San Diego County, we went from 12 cases to 22 cases over a weekend, and they're still going through the investigative process.
It was not final. It was. I was reading on the Mayo Clinic's website, and it was anecdotal evidence. They don't know,
right?
But what they're saying is that most of the patients are telling them that they're buying cannabis-based cartridges off the internet. And I'm just wondering if you had any knowledge about that.
I wouldn't say that, no.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I guess that would mean instead of 1,000 dead from all different sources, it would be just 800 dead from the cannabis and 200 dead from the other things.
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry. I misspoke. That would be 20 dead from the, overall, and
that's a good
24
question.
dead from.
How many have died from this cannabis lipid-based lung infection? How many deaths have there been?
I think there's about.
I wouldn't call it a cannabis-based lipid disease. What we have read is 20. There's been 19 deaths and over 1,080 hospitalizations. 19 deaths, so yes. not thousands. Yeah. I just want to remind you that the FDA does have a process when it comes to regulating the food that you eat. And on the FDA's website, and you can verify this, at 2 illnesses, your lettuce, your romaine, your green onions, your spinach are removed because that 2 illnesses is considered an outbreak. We have 19 dead and over 1,000 hospitalized.
That's a serious problem, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the FDA calls an outbreak too.
All right, thanks for coming.
And those are removed from the shelves, by the way.
Are there any more questions? Thanks for all the good work you and your group do. I appreciate it. Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Martin. I am a resident of El Cajon. I am a breast cancer survivor and a volunteer with the American Cancer Society, on the board of the American Cancer Society, and I work with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. Now, before you judge me, what I've heard here is that there's a lot of people who smoked when they were young, and they used vaping to kick the habit as a cessation tool. I think that's amazing. If these people started out as smokers of cigarettes, and then moved to a non-nicotine vaping, that's awesome. But you also have to realize they were kids when they started. Big Tobacco targeted these people when they were kids, which is what they continue to do. And if they were addicted at that young age and smoked for decades until vaping came along, and now they're nicotine free and they're using vaping, let's stop it now so our kids don't have to go through that. My main thing here is our kids. They're targeting our youth, and we know they're targeting our youth with these flavors. Who else would really want candy cane? Well, I shouldn't ask that question. But, there are some flavors that they're targeting our youth. And this is nothing new. This is nothing new. We have tried to do this for nicotine in the African American, with menthol cigarettes in the African American community for decades, and we got nowhere. Now they're targeting our youth. Let's do something about it. Let's help our youth lead a healthy life at a young age so when they get older, they don't have to try to find a cessation tool.
Okay. Let me see if there's any questions. Questions? See if...
So if we ban, the only place we could even possibly ban this stuff is in retail shops. If we do that, does that solve the problem?
No, that helps, but it doesn't solve. The parents have to get involved. Adults have to get involved and ensure that these devices are kept out of our children's hands. Of course, believe me, I've got grandkids, so I know that you can't stop everything, but you can make it harder. You can make it more difficult, and hopefully with the backing of the parent, we can assist our kids and keep them as healthy as we possibly can.
Do you believe there's a risk if we ban them from retailers that the stuff that the kids get from friends at the park, family members, becomes more dangerous because it's less vouched for?
No, I really don't feel that way.
Okay.
Because I feel that when you're a kid, you're doing what your peers do. If your peers are doing this, you're going to do it. If they don't, then hopefully they'll find an alternative that's healthier. But no, I don't agree with that.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick question. You've been doing this a long time. So there's local government, there's state government, there's federal government. Is it the role of the local government to be doing this, or would this be better served at the state or federal level?
You want my honest opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't have an angle on that. That's one of the heartburn things I have about this, is that this feels like it's kind of out of our lane. It feels like it should be the federal government dealing with this. I want to know what you have thought.
I feel, my opinion, if you want to get something done, you have to start locally. You have to start grassroots and get it done, and then you speak to your congressman. You go to the Hill. You lobby for what you want, but it has to start locally.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming, and thanks for the good work you do with the Cancer Foundation.
Russell Webb, Deborah Kelly, Roger Doherty.
Hi, Russell. Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Russell Webb, and I'm a senior at Granite Hills High School, and I'm here today because I've become extremely concerned with the normalization of vaping in students' lives, and especially on my high school campus. So I'm not here today to talk about the statistics or medical concerns concerning vaping. I just wanted to provide a perspective from a non-smoking student and just focus on a specific aspect of what I experience on a day-to-day basis. So I began to notice a significant increase in the amount of students vaping around 2 years ago, and the problem has been escalating ever since. And from what I have seen, vaping is no culture. It knows no age, gender, ethnicity. Everybody vapes. The athletic kids vape, the honors kids vape, the college prep kids vape, and their parents vape. And at this point, it's sad to say that I feel like it's become a part of high school culture. You could ask the most innocent and naive freshman if they know where the kids go to vape, and that freshman will tell you that they all go to the bathroom. On my high school campus, this is not counting the locker rooms. There are 5 main bathrooms, and 2 of those 5 bathrooms are permanently closed due to vaping. And by lunch, they close another bathroom because they know that kids will go in there to vape. So if my math is correct, this leaves just 2 bathrooms for over a class of 1,000 male students, and likewise for female students. You can only imagine what kind of chaos this creates. I was not surprised to find out that closing a couple bathrooms does not stop a nicotine addiction, so the addicted will still go to any bathroom where they can vape. I have seen it get so bad that, and this is no exaggeration, 40 to 60 kids will be in the same small bathroom in an area that is not much bigger than what I see in front of me. And a large portion of those students are smoking. When I use the restroom, students who I've never spoken to before will often ask me if I have a battery or Cardi, and sometimes this stuff, I don't even know what it is. This gives me a really off feeling because they remind me of desperate beggars, homeless beggars on the street. They say it takes 21 days to create a habit and 90 for a lifestyle. I urge you to take courage in your vote this afternoon because I do not want to see my friends turn a nicotine addiction into a lifestyle. Thank you.
All right, let me see if there's any questions.
Deborah Kelly, Roger Doherty.
My name is Deborah Kelly, and I am speaking as a concerned citizen who is outraged at the failure of government to protect our kids from the dual threats of flavored tobacco products and electronic smoking devices. Flavored tobacco products taste like candy but act as poisons, and kids don't smoke marijuana, they vape it. Congress banned flavored combustible cigarettes 10 years ago. Today's smokers don't have access to flavored cigarettes except for menthol. But e-cigarettes come in a range of kid-friendly flavors. They're widely available, and teens are vaping at frightening rates. Smokers don't really need flavors, but the tobacco and vaping industry do. It's true, Congress should have banned flavored tobacco products and regulated electronic smoking devices a long time ago, but they didn't. We doubt that they will. They caved to the tobacco industry. They put profits over people, and now young people are dying. For the past 25 years, because I've worked with council members Kendrick and McClellan, the El Cajon City Council has been a leader in San Diego County in protecting people from secondhand smoke and keeping tobacco out of the hands of kids. I urge you to continue that legacy and say no to tobacco and yes to protecting our kids from these threats. Thank you.
Angela. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short 5-minute break, and we will be back to continue this very interesting conversation. Thank you. Okay, we are back. Graham, did you...
Mr. Mayor, there was some dialogue between public speakers and the audience about FDA regulation of electronic devices, and FDA is where they call them ENDS, electronic nicotine delivery systems. So just to point out, during the break, we did go to the FDA website and determine that in 2016, the FDA did finalize some regulations that extend authority over all tobacco products, including electronic nicotine delivery systems. That includes the device, e-liquids, cartridges, atomizers, certain types of batteries, and words I don't understand. So it does look like there is some FDA regulation over those products, and the marketing and packaging of them.
It's good to have clarity. Thank you. Okay. All right, Angela, we have a speaker who's chomping at the bit, obviously. So,
yes, we have 38 more speakers, and again, Mr. Roger Doherty, Shane Duffy, and Lakeisha Sawami.
And who's our gentleman here?
This is
Sir,
Roger
welcome.
Doherty. Yes, sir.
Oh, your name again is what?
Roger Doherty. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As a board member of the American Heart Association, a representative of Kaiser Permanente, and a local resident, I'm here to support enhancements to the tobacco retail licensing as described by staff earlier, as well as strategies that keep vaping products out of the hands of our youth. The American Heart Association and Kaiser Permanente are deeply concerned about the meteoric rise in youth vaping. Last year, teen e-cigarette usage spiked 78%. This represents the single largest annual jump in the use of any substance ever recorded. The Center for Disease Control released statistics recently that indicate that as many as 1 in 4 high school students are vaping currently. The increased use is in large part due to the access to flavored tobacco and e-cigarette products. Today, as has been mentioned earlier, there are over 15,000 unique flavors of liquid nicotine, and that number has doubled since 2014. These flavors are designed to appeal to youth. They include fruit, candy, and mint flavors. The packaging is also designed to appeal to youth. Kids are enticed with sweet candy flavors and then are hooked with strong hit of nicotine. We encourage the city to consider permanently restricting the sale of flavors in nicotine products to help keep future generations from ever picking up the dangerous addiction to tobacco and other nicotine products. We also add that parental influence, even among the most diligent parents, is often overshadowed by the widespread access and youth-focused marketing. The city of El Cajon has an opportunity to take a bold step to protect young people in this community. You can join the other states that have taken on this challenge, like Illinois, Michigan, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, the 25 jurisdictions throughout the state of California, and actually 29 international countries that are addressing this issue currently. I encourage you to take the next step to protect the health of our youth, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions? Sir, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
When are you going to build a hospital?
You know, at least you're consistent. Thank you, sir, for asking that question. Kaiser Permanente still has a 3-hospital strategy in this county of San Diego. We have land entitled in North County. We have the land here in El Cajon, and as you know, our recent hospital that opened in 2017. So it is still on the docket. We're just looking for capital and timing is the issue. But thank you for asking.
Thanks for coming. You almost made it, didn't you? Yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Shane Duffy. I'm a junior at the University of San Diego, and I just wanted to provide the point of view of a college student, but also as working with CASA, I was the youth that would go into these stores and attempt to purchase as well. And so as far as the college experience, I think that Russell said it well earlier. As far as bathrooms go, you walk into a bathroom, that's immediately what you see people doing, and it's just overwhelming. But beyond that, you also see college students that can't sit through a 55-minute lecture without hitting their jewel. And this is in every class that I'm in. They not just that they want to, they actually need to focus, because this is just so addictive, and it's addicting them so fast to where they just can't stop. I've had friends, I've had my peers who will purposely skip meals so that they could save money so they could buy Juul. There was a friend of mine who skipped 3 days of meals so that she could save money just to buy the Juul because she's so addicted so fast. This is really affecting college students on all levels, and they're spending the bottom of their bank accounts because they're so addicted to this. And then beyond that, when I was working with the compliance checks, I've been doing this for 4 years, and I've seen that culture change, or specifically surrounding these flavors. This is something that is directly marketed to youth. Bubblegum, mango, like of course they're going to sell to youth. When I walk in, that's the first thing that I ask for, because that's what my friends are buying, and that's what they're selling to. And I brought some evidence. I didn't buy this online. I bought this directly in the store. This is stuff that we've done over the years, and we've bought these in the stores. In regards to the earlier speaker about who this hurts, from the community that this is already hurting and is continuing to hurt, something has to be done. I'm tired of having the same conversation with scared college kids who are now seeing deaths, who are now seeing people go into the hospital, who are crying, who can't stop, and they're already relying on something that they know is hurting them. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Let me see if there's any questions. Steve?
Where are your friends getting the product?
They're getting it from stores.
From stores. They don't go online or friends, or they go to a store to buy it?
I have not heard any person, none of my peers I've heard have bought it online.
Okay, great, thanks.
Thanks for coming. Hello, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Pull that microphone down.
My name is Lakeisha, and I'm with the American Lung Association. Dear Mayor Wells and the El Cajon City Council members, on behalf of the American Lung Association in California, the leading public health organization fighting to reduce and prevent harmful effects of tobacco use, I'm writing to express our support for strong policies that provide consistent protections for youth and restricting flavored tobacco citywide, including menthol. Each year in California, nearly 40,000 adults die from smoking-related causes, and 9,200 kids become new daily smokers. According to a 2012 report of the U.S. Surgeon General, tobacco companies have a long history of using flavored tobacco products to entice new, younger customers. 8 out of 10 youth smokers report that they initiated tobacco use with a flavored tobacco product. And the younger a person is, the more likely they will be to use a flavored tobacco product. Despite the FDA's 2009 ban on the sale of flavored cigarettes, the market for other types of flavored tobacco products, such as cigars and e-cigarettes, is growing rapidly. Additionally, menthol flavors were excluded from the FDA ban, despite the evidence that menthol is also a driving factor in tobacco initiation. Very little is known about the health effects of electronic cigarettes and other aerosol that they release, or what the health consequences of them might be. There is no evidence that shows the aerosol emitted by e-cigarettes is safe for non-users to inhale. What we do know is that these products are especially enticing to youth who have begun using them at alarming rates. E-cigarette use among middle and high school students is higher than that of traditional tobacco products. But effective policies to include e-cigarettes in our tobacco control laws can curb that trend. Menthol cigarettes pose a significant and unique health risk. Menthol cigarette smokers are typically more addicted and have a harder time quitting than smokers of non-menthol cigarettes. In addition, menthol cigarettes are thought to make harmful chemicals more easily absorbed into restrictions on the sale of flavored tobacco products.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me see if there are any questions. No? Thanks for coming.
Linda Barbour and Linda Webb.
Linda, hi, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Hello, Council. My name's Linda Barber. I'm with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. I was here when you passed your initial strong tobacco retail license, and I am in full support of your recommendations to increase fees, make suspension be a requirement for the first violation, whatever you can do to reduce illegal sales to youth is a really important factor. I also wanted to add that we really would encourage the city to increase the regulation of flavored tobacco products. We know that the industry is marketing to kids, and the FDA has its role, the state has its role, but local jurisdictions can take effective action to reduce flavors. Flavors hook kids, it's a fact, and you can do something about it. So I'd encourage the city to take that action as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me see if there's any questions. No, but thank you. I appreciate it. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Linda Webb, and I'm here as a parent. I have 3 teenage boys, and I also am an ex-smoker. And I've heard a lot of things from both sides today, and there's things to agree on both sides. I want to share my story briefly with you. I started smoking back in the 80s, and I was 15 years old, and I tried a regular non-flavored cigarette at that time and thought it was disgusting and choked, and it was gross. And then a little while later, my friend's mom smoked menthol cigarettes, and she said, "Try this, it's flavored." And so I did, and that one wasn't so bad. I actually liked that one. I went on to be a smoker for the next 15 years, and I did not want to be a smoker for most of those 15 years. I would try to quit, I would try to cut back, but the nicotine addiction, as we all know, is so strong. They equate it to trying to quit heroin, which I have never tried, but smoking quitting smoking cigarettes was the hardest thing I ever did. And I commend those people that have found vaping to help them quit. However, there are other methods. I used the patch on my arm that delivered nicotine into my system while I was wearing that patch, and they had different patches to cut back to wean off the nicotine. I also attended a 12-step meeting called Nicotine Anonymous, which I found extremely helpful and valuable. It was based off the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and there was a support group within that I attended meetings for 3 years and took chips. There were people at that meeting that had 15 years. We call it smobriety. It was a wonderful way to quit. I made great friends, and I didn't need vaping. I believe truly and strongly that flavors hook kids, and I am here today to support you 100% in banning all flavors. I'm not saying I 100% ban vaping. I don't know about that. I'm a parent with teenagers, and I have my own personal experience with flavors, so thank you.
Thank you. Let me see if there's any questions for you, Steve.
So if, am I taking away the rights of an adult who prefers a flavored solution instead of a patch?
Yes, because for our kids, I'm sorry, but I 100% very, very emotionally agree that adults cannot have it. Over 21-year-olds can't have it, because if they do, kids will get it. I did. I got it from a parent over 21.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. I appreciate it.
The next two names I will call, they do not need to speak. They don't wish to speak, but they do. They support the item as recommended by staff, and that's Jim Crittender and Laud Ramahan.
Great. I really appreciate that. We actually have other business to do tonight, and I'd like to go home before tomorrow. But that's but if you. So let's go ahead and keep going.
The next three names, James Mitchell, Richard Hobart, and Mark Dawood.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor, and thank you for listening to me today. Good afternoon, council members. I appreciate and share the same compassion and concern regarding youth in the community and overall concern for public health as all of you on the council do. As a vape shop owner, I opened my store to share my story of smoking a pack and a half of cigarettes for the past 25 years of my life by using flavored vape products. Adults who, like myself, sought out an alternative to traditional tobacco products and until recent years could never find a less harmful alternative to escape a death sentence that combustible cigarettes lead to. Now is the opportunity for us to embrace this harm reduction technology and implement solutions to keep these same vape products out of the hands of youth. At the same time, it is imperative for us to recognize the benefit to public health for these flavored products present to adults as an alternative to traditional tobacco products that knowingly kill 1,300 people every single day in the United States. According to Public Health England, we have a technology before us that is a 95% less harmful product than cigarettes and has the potential to save millions of human life years. Working together, we can come up with solutions such as restricting sales of these products to be sold in age-restricted tobacco specialty stores, regulate the maximum percentage of nicotine in e-liquids, ban online sales. However, obviously that might need to be taken up at a state level. Hold retailers accountable through fines and revocation of licensing, and holding our youth accountable as well. Currently, there's no fines, there's no community service, a lack of education. All of these things will be beneficial to youth. Solutions such as these will protect our youth by prohibiting their access and use. Banning flavored tobacco products will not resolve these issues, however, would contribute to the ongoing illnesses and deaths outbreaks that we are currently seeing from black market THC cartridges, according to CDC and the FDA. It will also have a negative impact on public health, as current vapors will seek alternatives such as the black market, or they will go back to traditional tobacco products that
Sir, I'm
knowingly...
sorry to interrupt you. You have to wrap it up. We're about running out of time. But go
Yes,
ahead.
this is my last sentence,
Yeah,
sir.
please.
Black market, back to combustible tobacco products that will knowingly kill them.
Gary.
Sir, thank you for coming. How do you feel about substantial increases in penalties for people that get caught selling tobacco products to children?
Councilmember Kendrick, I appreciate the question. I agree with substantial penalties toward tobacco retailers that sell to underage minors.
What would you think about 3-month suspension the first time, and let's say a $1,000 fine?
I think it needs to be a reasonable amount of suspension or a fine, more or less on the side of suspension rather than fine. Increase the fines on the financial side of things. However, a 90-day revocation of licensing would, most of us are small business owners. 90 days would make us go out of business. However, I do believe that a 1-year rolling period of such infractions instead of this 5-year BS. I agree, and I have solutions. I have given each one of you council members and the mayor, we have dropped off some solutions for you guys to take a look at. We are concerned about the youth access to these products.
Don't you ask for the driver's licenses?
We ID every single person that looks under the age of 30 years old.
But you have some to slip through?
I do not. I have not once has our store been identified as selling it to an underage person.
So
a lot of these issues that are happening to underage sales are happening in convenience stores, gas stations, supermarkets. A lot of the vape shops that are represented here today, we care about our community. We got into this industry because we're not a part of big tobacco. We despise big tobacco. We know how it affected our lives when we were addicted to that same product that they currently continue to sell and continue to hurt individuals and kill them.
So if we did a 60-day suspension, if we caught someone selling to kids, I mean, if you don't sell to kids, you got nothing to worry about.
You're 100% correct in that. But I think at the same time, as a business owner, I cannot always be at my store. I rely on individuals that I hire that might not have the same compassion, although I do my due diligence in making damn sure that they have as much compassion to not to sell to kids.
Now, did you have one of those registers where you had to put to make the sale, where you put the driver's license in and can tell what the,
As far as the age verification systems, yes, we have, some of our stores have that. And included in the packet I've given you, I have that as one of the solutions to this.
And do you have the cameras?
I do not utilize a camera currently. I do have a system that it has the ability to use, but I think right now is not the forum to discuss 90 days, 60 days. I, and among other business owners, are willing to work with the council for solutions that will be of public benefit and will restrict the youth sales and consumption of these products.
All right. Thank you, sir.
People on the other side of your point of view would say, why are you even carrying kid flavor friendly product in the first place? What do you say to that point of view?
Well, council member, is it Goebel?
Goebel.
I, like many other adults, we like ice cream flavors. We like flavors. Recent study that I read, up to 80% of current vapors utilize flavored products, flavored tobacco products, to keep them away from combustible cigarettes. They don't like the taste of tobacco. They want to get away from that. Them vaping a product that tastes like tobacco gets them back in that mindset of smoking, and they don't want that. The studies, all of this information has been included in packets available that we dropped off earlier this afternoon for you guys. Be more than welcome to sit down with any of you and all of you. This is not a big tobacco trying to profit off of kids. I would say 95 to 99% of the companies in the vaping industry are not big tobacco companies. They are small business owners like myself all across this country.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That's a tough act to follow. My name's Richard Hobart. I'm a vape shop owner in San Diego, Vape in the 619, and actually James Mitchell and Molly Sylvester's business partner there. James already had outlined a lot of the recommendations that we have to address youth prevention, which is a problem that we also want to address. There were some that he did not mention, which I'll go over with you right now. We discussed strict and stiff strawman sales penalties. We recommend issuing citations along with stiff fines and or community service for anyone caught facilitating purchases on behalf of a minor. Reinstate citations for minors caught in possession or using tobacco products. Consequences to include fines, education, and community service. Holding minors accountable to their actions is a very important key to deterring the use of tobacco products. The current consequence is a school suspension, which places burden and hardships on parents and is a lesson lost on minors. And we also recommend educational assemblies to inform youth of the consequences and risks of using all 21 and over products, such as tobacco, cannabis, and alcohol. Incurring such penalties will discourage them from wanting to acquire and use youth-restricted products. We are aware that previous recommendation would have to be implemented at a state level, and we have procured a meeting in November with State Senator Brian Jones to discuss this issue, and we extend the invitation for any of you that would like to attend. Let's see. Run out of time here. Banning pre-filled vape products. Pre-filled vape products such as Juul, Blue, Puff Bars allow for easy youth access for youth to acquire and use immediately. These oftentimes are small, disposable type products that are easy to conceal and are very popular among youth. One of the prominent issues that attracts you to these products is their very high concentration and inability to allow the user to go down in their nicotine level. And that's all I got.
One question for you.
Yes, sir.
It seems from your testimony you're trying to shift the responsibility to the kids, but, what's the problem with increasing the penalties as far as you can't sell? What we're doing right now isn't working. It's the $1,000 fine or 30 days suspension. What if we had 60 days suspension and maybe $2,500 fine, but then all the illegal ones would go out and you would get their business because you don't sell to kids.
Well, we have outlined in the packets that we gave you our recommendation. First and second offenses, we recommend a $5,000 fine in a rolling 12-month period. And on the third recommendation, immediate revocation of the business and tobacco license.
So you don't believe in a suspension on the first or second? That seems to be the most effective thing because they just build $1,000 fine into their business plan.
Well, it is the most effective thing, but you also have to take the public health into account. These shops that we run do offer a benefit to the public, and by closing them down, which a 60-day suspension effectively does.
Closing them down for selling to kids. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I had a question. So I'm hearing that you would like to be treated differently than corner markets, convenience stores, because this is your sole business in a sense.
It is.
You don't
yes.
also sell other products like baseball caps and donuts and milk and things like that.
Yeah.
So are you saying that we should have a different tiered fine system for different kinds of businesses?
I think the ramifications for underage sales should be the same for all businesses that sell underage products.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Good clarification. Do we have any vape shops in El Cajon City?
Sir, I'm unaware, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't
say
think
that
so.
definitively.
The reason I'm asking that is so it's kind of a moot point.
I think I heard you correctly. Did you make a distinction between the Juul product and the e-cigarette product, in that the Juul product comes pre-packaged with a certain amount of nicotine, which can you explain that again? Okay.
Yeah. So Juul, they use a closed system device. That's what we call it, versus open system. Closed system meaning that it comes ready to use. Juul specifically comes in 4-packs or 2-packs, and the flavor is already set. It's already filled and ready to go with a already predetermined amount of nicotine. And those are either 5%, and I believe they also have a 3% level available. Your open system devices, which allow the user to choose whatever flavor they would like and nicotine level that they would like to put in it, allow the user to go down over time to strengths as low as 0.3%, 0.6%, and in some cases, no nicotine. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mark Daoud. I'm 22 years old. I was born and raised in Cajon. I also went to Valhalla High School. Also, I am an employee. I'm not a business owner. And, first time up here.
You're doing great.
And then what I've seen in high school, I actually want to take back to a story. When I was a junior, there was this kid who was selling vape products and vape devices. This was back in 2014, and I asked him, where would you get this stuff? And he told me online. He would get it for about, the device for $10, the juice for about $5. And to Mr. Gobble's questions, I believe that if you do ban this, kids will still find a way to get this product. I'm done. You can have questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Gary.
Is it hard to not sell to kids?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I ID everybody, even if they look 40 to 50 years old, no matter what.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We have 30 more speakers. Andrew Park, Alan Park, and Stacy Weaver.
It's going up.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Yeah, pull it up. You're a tall guy.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Andrew Park, and thank you for letting me speak today. And I am for the increase in fines and regulations on flavored tobacco products. However, I cannot agree with the proposition to ban vapes altogether. I'm a part of the pre-21 generation that is predatorily marketed towards for vapes. And I can see that it is a problem. It's a giant one. You know, I'm a recent high school graduate, and I'm currently attending Mesa College. I can speak from experience when I say that many of my peers are hooked on vapes, and the vast majority receive these products from questionable older friends and online retailers. I believe that a vape ban at the local level will not fix the problem, while an increase in regulation can. I believe an outright ban will devastate many small businesses, not just vape shop owners, but smoke shop owners and so forth, that depend on the sale of flavored tobacco products. With minimal impact, and I can't say that I don't come from a place of bias, as I am a beneficiary of these sales, and my father owns a smoke shop. But I cannot affirmatively say that this a ban will fix this problem. And I've come to terms with the fact that I may not be able to afford a higher education and higher learning at another 4-year institution, but I worry that we won't even have enough to put food on our table or even maintain the house that we have right now. Not only will it create a larger aforementioned black market, but my peers will just rely more heavily on online retailers, and they will always find a way. I'd like to bring up a foreign exchange student that I know at Mesa College, and his name is Steven, and he's from Myanmar, who knows absolutely nobody in the state of California. But he's appalled by the fact that he could go online and buy these products with the snap of his fingers without knowing a single person. And I don't see how these kids won't be able to go through the same process once these are banned, especially with the advent of a black market that could emerge.
Okay. Before we go to get the questions, did you want to bring him up right now, or?
Oh, no. I was just referencing the person I knew.
All right, Gary.
Just a quick question for you. Would you agree to then a substantial increase in the penalties?
Yes.
The people that sell to kids,
Yeah,
60-day or 90-day suspension?
Yes, the logic goes that, like, you know, if you are like a responsible business owner, this should not be a problem for you in the first place, right? You know, if you were to maintain your keep track of your employees, this would not be a problem.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alan Park and Stacy Weaver.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alan Park, and I'd just like to say that I'm all for raising the penalties. Any responsible business owners should be taking all liabilities for any sale to minors. That's it.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Wells, council members, and staff. My name is Stacy Weaver. I'm the executive director of the American Heart Association and a mother of 5. So I come to you with both positions to give you support in the recommendations of stricter fines and in heavier regulations of products, including the elimination of flavored tobacco products. And I'm only going to give you 2 statistics left for you to think about. One is there's an overwhelming evidence that flavors attract youth. One study has shown that the first tobacco product used by 81% of youth is a flavored tobacco product. And then last, I think this is extremely important for you to know that in 2017, San Francisco passed the most stringent flavored tobacco product ban in the United States, eliminating all flavored e-cigarette liquids, cigarettes, cigars, and hookahs. The American Heart Association and our partners fought hard to first pass the ordinance through the City Council, then defend it when the tobacco industry funded an effort to put it to the ballot. And this is the most important part. Voters were heard loudly and clearly when they overwhelmingly voted to keep the ban. As a mother, this is extremely appalling that we are attracting our kids with flavored tobacco, and I urge you to take consideration with stricter guidelines and heavier regulations. Thank you and have a good evening.
Any questions? Thank you.
Ramon Mansour, Alex Medina, and Mike Saab.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor and council members. I am a resident of El Cajon. Been here for 27 years. I work in El Cajon. I went to school in El Cajon, and my daughter goes to school in El Cajon. I do approve strict penalties on retailers that sell to minors. But I do oppose any ban on sales of vape products by retailers. And I do oppose a penalty that would shut down any retailers by imposing a 60-day or 90-day, forcing them to close or not sell any of the products, because essentially most tobacco shops or vape shops only sell the tobacco products. And so a closing them down like that, especially when we all know as business owners that a lot of times it's employees that run the businesses. So putting that kind of penalty essentially shuts these guys down, and it's a tough situation. Now, I've been in the vape industry for years, and in the early years, I want to make a point that in the early years, about eight years ago, the trend was locals would make vape products at home or in small offices and supply them to retailers, and those retailers would turn around and sell them. Now, in July of 2017, the state of California considered a selling vape products as to be a tobacco taxed transaction, therefore banning any unregistered and any black market products. So they did that. That was a couple of years ago. Now, and in May of 2020, the FDA is coming up. The FDA is moving forward with an approval process for vape products. Now, I approve this approach. I truly believe that this is the right way to go. And as business owners, none of us approve or none of us recommend anyone to vape in general if you are not a cigarette smoker to begin with. We don't sit here promoting that. We don't have signs promoting vape. That way, we are here as business owners or employees of business owners that say we are here to say that selling vape products is doing a public good by helping people quit cigarettes. Period. And we truly believe that banning the sale of legal, registered, state-registered tobacco products such as vapes is just going to turn us back to how it all started 8 years ago, with people just easily manufacturing their own. It's an easy process, and obviously getting products from online, it's so easy to get. So I recommend we let the state and federal government continue its efforts to direct this country in the right way.
Questions?
Yes, you said you're the owner, and you can't be responsible for what your employees do. If one of them sells to a minor, you don't want to be penalized?
No, absolutely not. That's not what I mean. What I mean is setting up a rule such as this strict of a 60-day suspension pretty much will shut down 90% of these shops. Now, if it was a store owner, maybe we can put in a rule. If the store owner was the one selling it, absolutely. But it's tough to say, sometimes you employ a college student, 21, 22-year-old, guy or girl, and they make a mistake, they misread the ID. Sometimes it's, I'm not sure how the people that are doing these are going in and convincing store owners to sell to minors. If there's no ID, being checked at all, or if it's a fake ID, I'm not sure how the process is. But if it's, if a 22-year-old kid, sold it to someone who they thought was older, you can imagine, as a business owner, it would kill me. I mean, I'd be very upset. We do not train our guys this way. But if that happens and you turn around and the first thing that happens is a 60-day suspension, and that pretty much shuts us down. It'll shut. It's just. It's heartbreaking. It's difficult to live with,
So you say that if it's a store owner that makes a mistake, that doesn't make mistakes, but if an employee makes a mistake, it's okay to let them do it.
Absolutely not. I'm not saying now. I do approve in a stronger penalties. I said that in my first statement. Now, if you penalize us $2,500 or $3,000 on this kind of thing, and we'll, if we'll feel a $3,000, $2,500 penalty, believe me, we would feel it. But it's just a little bit difficult to say that I approve a 2-month suspension of ability to sell tobacco products. It's tough. I mean, it's tough.
Well, wouldn't they just sell it to another owner?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't they just sell the store to another owner and he'd be doing the same thing?
I mean, to sell your business to another owner because of a 2-month suspension, that's unlikely. I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Steve?
Where have you advertised your business before?
I'm sorry?
Have you advertised your business?
Not in any publications or online or anything like that, no.
Placed no advertising for your business? Okay.
No.
All right.
Sir, is your business in El Cajon, and did you sell all types of tobacco products? Do you sell alcohol? What kind of business is it?
No, it's a retail business, and we do not sell alcohol, but yeah, we sell other products as well.
Is it in El Cajon City?
Yep, in the city of El Cajon.
And you just sell tobacco products?
No, we sell grocery and snacks and all kinds of other things. But
vaping is a certain percentage of tobacco,
I'm speaking in general.
Sure.
That a lot of these guys are tobacco shop owners or retailers. I'm not just speaking on my behalf. I'm speaking as a business owner that I know a lot of these guys, and I know a 2-month suspension will be difficult. Damn near just shut them down.
But the product you're selling kills 50% of the users on tobacco. So you don't think you could be responsible enough not to sell to kids?
Now, you talking about cigarettes?
Ladies and gentlemen, everybody's going to get a chance to call. I need to keep the decorum, though, okay?
I'm sorry. Repeat that.
We better just move on, okay?
Phil.
You're saying that the 60-day suspension is going to put a lot of retailers out of business.
Absolutely.
is there any scenario that you would be in favor of having a 60-day suspension for a multiple offender retailer?
100%, yes. I'm just saying is, if we put the right rules, strict rules in place, and believe me, especially now with all the news coming about, and we all know that there's kids out there that are getting their hands on it, yes, we are with you guys. We are not against you guys in any way. We are with you guys. We are with the schools. We are with the kids. But we are also business people that want to survive. And we also are a lot of us are locals here, and we have friends and relatives that use vape products in a positive way, and we want to be able to supply those guys with that.
Just for clarity, I'd like to, Graham, I believe that the initial suspension that was for the first-time offender that you were suggesting was not 60 days but 30 days. Am I correct?
Correct. The recommendation in the staff report for the council to sort of deliberate would be a 30-day suspension and a $500 penalty.
Okay. So we know what we're talking about.
That's not enough.
All right, Mr. Minister, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Just a hand slap.
Alex Medina and Mike Sabrar.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm a business owner my name is Mike. I'm a tobacco business owner at Cajon City. My tobacco shop has been there for 17 years, and I'm an owner there for 1 year. And I agree for the penalty, but I don't agree to ban the flavors because my 80% of business is all from flavors tobacco. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
I'm not in El Cajon City. I'm just here to support my colleagues. I'm a vape shop owner in San Diego, and I've just seen the benefits of vaping, and it really changes people's lives. When you see someone come in that's been smoking for 30 years and they have no idea what technology is, and you show them how this little device can help them change their life to be better. I agree with all the, making it harder for kids to come in. We don't want the kids to come in. They're not welcome, and I've always said it. I agree with the penalties. I agree with all that. But I don't agree with a flavor ban because it would put all of us at business. I take care of my family. I'm a second-generation immigrant here in the United States. My parents came from Mexico. I was born here. I support them. And it would put all of us out of business. And El Cajon in San Diego is made of small businesses. And we're here to do anything we can so the city can be happy. But at the same time, we just ask for you guys to help us keep our doors open. And all these statistics and all this stuff, there has to be a good research, Mayor, because all these statistics are wrong. I'm hearing them, and I've been researching for the past months, and half of the things they're saying is not true. So if you go on the FDA website, the CDC, they actually all blame it on the fake THC tobacco cartridges that are on the black market. And lastly, if you go on Craigslist right now, I ask everyone to go on Craigslist and Google or look up a vape. You can find it. You have about 50 options to go and buy on Craigslist. I think it's way better for us. My license is linked to my name. I'm the one responsible for selling that product. Don't put the kids in the black market. Have responsible owners like myself, be the ones that give the face when something goes wrong. And I agree. Do the 30 days, do 2,500, do 5,000 if you want to. Do whatever you want to do to make it strict, but don't close our doors. We're just trying to put our kids through school. We're trying to help the community. That's all we're trying to do.
See, there's a couple questions here.
So you have a 100% vape shop. You're not part of a market or something like that?
No,
okay,
I have 4.
Do you advertise?
No.
You don't advertise at all? Okay.
They don't let you. Facebook and Google reviews, since if you're a tobacco shop, they don't allow you to advertise.
Okay,
so it's like the TV and all that. It's the big tobacco companies that advertise, like Juul. I'm not allowed to.
So when I was researching it, my research agreed with yours about the THC black market stuff. But what I couldn't get was any kind of sense of the flavored cartridges. Do adults enjoy those too? Do they like those, or is it mostly kids?
I don't know. I don't smoke marijuana, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, but...
I'm talking about the flavor, the non-marijuana flavored cartridges that you're selling right now. Is it just kids who are trying to get hold of those?
No, adults love flavors. It's very easy to quit smoking with a vape that's granola bar rather than a tobacco, because you're going to miss the cigarette, and you're going to go to the cigarette. I don't want a vape that tastes like tobacco. I want a vape that makes me forget of that addiction I have and that puts me somewhere else. And most of the users, like all my colleagues, we recommend start at a 6, go to a 3, and go to a 0 and quit vaping. That's like the rule. The patch, the gum, all that stuff, I've seen it with my customers. It doesn't work for everyone.
Any other questions? Thanks for coming.
Giselle Brambilla, Johanna Brambilla, and Andrew Weber.
Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wells, council members, and staff. My name is Juliana Brambilla, and I do agree with strict penalties, but I firmly oppose the flavor ban in El Cajon and all neighboring cities. Vaping has saved my life and millions of other lives by eliminating the urge to smoke combustible cigarettes and eventually quitting nicotine altogether. I 100% agree that vaping is not for children, but the flavor ban will hurt not only small business owners, but will most definitely create a black market for these products, and in turn will inevitably get to the hands of children. We also need to look at online retailers like eBay, just as Giselle just said, and Craigslist, who offer black market products with little or no age verification whatsoever. I propose 21 and over only establishments and a third-party ID verification system to ensure sales are for adults only. We must look at the facts and the research instead of making uneducated decisions for so many people and so many lives that have been saved by vaping, such as my own. As vape shop owners, we would gladly love to sit down with all of you and open a dialogue on next steps and educate you on everything there is to know about vaping and flavored tobacco. Please do not mix hazardous THC products and vaping in the same pot. And please keep in mind that adults enjoy flavors too. We have no interest in selling to minors. I, a 27-year-old adult, quit by vaping watermelon menthol vape juice. Thank you for your time.
Hello, welcome.
Hello. I'm waiting for the clock to go back to 0. Mayor and council members, I thank you for giving us all the opportunity to speak. All of us on both sides. There are many countries in which we don't have this opportunity. So the benefits of vaping that I've personally myself witnessed in my circle of friends, my friends who used to be smokers, who went to vaping, they feel much better. They're much more active. But this is also the interesting thing. Only one person in the circle of friends vapes tobacco. Everybody else vapes flavors, because tobacco is a trigger for most vapors to go back to smoking. So should flavors be banned and tobacco be left available, most probably would have a huge number of people going back to smoking combustible cigarettes. Electronic cigarettes, in conjunction with lab-made liquids, are keeping tobacco smokers away from combustible cigarettes, which kill between 400 and 450,000 adults a year. The flavor ban would lead many former smokers to go back to cigarettes, therefore forcing many of them to going back to consuming a harmful product, a cigarette, even though it's legal. To solve the issue, the council members might want to consider stricter financial penalties as proposed for those who sell to minors and for the minors themselves. Let's think about this. There are no consequences for minors caught vaping. I agree with Mr. Mitchell in his proposal. However, I would suggest even stricter regulations such as higher penalties, longer suspensions, and even revoking licenses for repeat offenders. Pass an ordinance making the sale of tobacco products only available in establishments that sell controlled products for 21 and over. Consider having stores installing ID readers on the doors before you go in. And work in conjunction with local law enforcement to train business owners and clerks to use third-party ID verifications and learn how to spot fake IDs. And then I have more, but I'm out of time.
Let me see if there's any questions. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Samir Carriajos. Samir? Okay, we have 20 more speakers. Chris Messick and Niam Donahue.
I haven't counted them. I should have counted them.
Hey, Chris, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I hate plug speaking.
You'll be through it in 2 minutes.
I've been in Level Alcohol for 40 years. I don't vape or smoke personally. None of my friends do vape, and I've seen the difference it's made in their lives. They don't hawk up as much, whatever you'd call that, medical term, phlegm or whatever in the morning. They run faster, and they just seem like just happier people. And I've heard of, I think everybody here, whatever side you're on, knows that we need more regulation. I would suggest that you fine the employees too. I mean, if I go buy a case of beer and give it to a minor outside a liquor store, I get arrested or whatever happens. I'm not sure what happens, some kind of fine or whatever. So maybe we should find the store owner, the employee, which would make them kind of be on their P's and Q's, and the kids too. I mean, not a fine, some kind of a community service or something. Like if I get pulled over by a cop, I get a ticket for speeding. I know that. If all they did was give me a warning, I would keep speeding. Why not? Nothing's going to happen. Like I said, I oppose this ban, and hope you guys just look towards this regulation. I know the world, or not the world, the country's watching you guys. And like I said, I've been going for years, and you guys have been big on not smoking, and I hope you guys make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Neve Donahue, and I'm actually a business owner from Temecula. The reason I'm here tonight is because I buy all my product from the local El Cajon cash and carry. If I didn't have that option, I would be spending 2 to 3 hours having to drive to LA versus the 40-minute drive down here to San Diego to support this business. If this ban happens, I will be forced to spend more time, more money. I will also have to have employees to work that night instead of me working. We do not want children getting their hands on black market products and getting sick. We want stronger regulations, and we want to work with cities and schools that have a legitimate problem with kids vaping. Anyone that is illegally selling tobacco products needs a swifter punishment. Also, I believe that only tobacco shops should be selling tobacco products. Places that only allow 21 plus customers in. I don't believe pizza shops or grocery stores should be selling tobacco products. That makes it much easier for kids to get their hands on it, and it shouldn't be visible to children where they have it in their sight and they want someone to buy it for them. We want to work with you guys, and I don't agree with the complete flavor ban. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have another card for Alan Park, but I'm not sure if that's the same Alan Park.
We're okay, he says. Okay. Thanks, Alan.
Carrie Conant and Scott Namu.
Carrie, welcome.
Thank you. I started smoking at about 12. I continued to get that product unflavored until I was 18, and then I started getting it legally. I continued to smoke all the way up into my 40s until about 2008, which I found vaping. I don't think I can say anything more that's going to make any difference, except for everybody in this room that I've been listening to for quite some time all agrees that underage vaping, underage smoking shouldn't happen. We don't want it. But eliminating the choice life-saving, life-changing choices, eliminating that from the adult smoker, I think is a bad move. I think you're eliminating the options for people to change their lives. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Hello, welcome.
Hello, my name is Scott, and I'm a business owner here in San Diego and in El Cajon. And I don't believe in the ban for multiple reasons. People's hands go anywhere. If you ban in El Cajon or either San Diego, I'm not sure about San Diego, but in El Cajon, if anybody, let's say they ban them, wouldn't you guys think somebody would still get their hand going somewhere else, other cities that they can get in? And I believe that there should also be a punishment, not only for store owners, but also for the mothers leaving their kids, unattended. And also getting them from eBays and, all the onlines, that should also be restrictions there too. Just as much as we should get punished. Websites like eBays and any online store should also be punished, where now the way I see it is it's just a free market. Anyone can just go in there. They don't even verify any age or any, even with your credit card, you can still get with the temporary card. And also as far as the punishment, as I don't believe with a 60-day punishment, because sometimes I'm not always at the store. I do have an employee. Sometimes it's a new employee. You train him, and people make mistakes. There should be a hefty punishment, but not closing you for 60 days. That's not fair.
Let me see. Any questions? Thank you, sir. One question, Bob.
So you think it's all right if an employee makes a mistake, but it isn't all right if you make a mistake?
I'm not saying anyone should be making a mistake, but humans make a mistake.
No,
Put your shoes in that position where if you're a store owner and if your employee, let's say, makes a mistake, give me a fine and also penalties where after one day, thank God we haven't had any. I train my employees and we haven't had anyone selling to a minor. But I still feel like do it like when you're speeding. Your first speeds, you get this with anything. That there should be a penalties. People make mistakes, but there shouldn't be just right away you're out of business. 60 days is putting somebody out of business, and I don't believe that, and I don't agree with that.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have any objection to a $2,500 fine for the first offense.
I'm okay to pay $5,000, but don't shut me down for 60 days for somebody's human error. People makes, but what I suggest is to come up with a system, implement a system where everyone should have it, just like when you're buying a super lotto. You can only buy it from here. Put your card or something, and then we can make the sale happen.
You tell your employees that you could be shut down for 30 days if they sell to a minor?
No, I'm telling them not to sell, and we haven't had any tickets or any stuff, and I train my employees real good.
You don't tell them that you could be shut down if you sell to a minor?
I didn't even know about shutting down until today.
Well,
I've been in business for 15 years. I didn't even know what was the law and what was selling it to a minor until today.
You should maybe educate them that way so that
I am gonna
they
educate
take a little
them.
more care in who they sell to.
No, I understand, but I also do understand that there should be a system and everybody should implement the system and go with that system.
Right. Thank you.
Emery Senner and Rima Khoury. George Johnson and Isa Abueta.
How you want to pull that down for you?
Yes, it's almost good evening, Mayor
Yeah, it's getting
and
there.
Deputy Mayor and council members. My name is Rima Khoury. I represent Fumari. It's a hookah tobacco manufacturer, and also the Hookah Chamber of Commerce. And my family also lives in El Cajon for approximately 15 years. We support the recommended modification to your regulation. In fact, it's actually, responsible regulation like this, education, enforcement. These are the things that I think will actually address that teen use, vape or tobacco usage. It's actually quite refreshing to see you folks ask questions because it seems like you genuinely want to address the issue. Instead of, and working with retailers and your constituents to partner and figure out ways. I mean, as you've heard tonight, there's been many people that have recommended fantastic ideas on how to best business practices to address this issue. This is actually exactly what we'd like to see versus like a blind flavor ban, because these flavor bans can actually create unintended consequences just by doing a complete flavor ban for both underage and adult 21 and over. And we've seen this happen where, and I want to show you this. Hookah tobacco has somehow gotten wrapped up in all of this, and it's becoming almost like collateral damage in some of these flavor bans. And the reason why I brought this out to you to show you is because many people have never seen what a hookah looks like. This is an average size hookah, and as you can see, it's not very easy to conceal, and it can't fit in your pocket, and you can't fit in your backpack. And it takes about 15 to 30 minutes to set up, so you certainly can't set it up in the bathroom at school. But this is what's getting wrapped up in all of these flavor bans. And it's important for you guys to understand this is an FDA-regulated product. Even the device itself is FDA-regulated. And even the FDA have said that they recently noted in their draft guidance that water pipe tobacco does not appear to have the same ease of use, particularly on school grounds, as e-cigarettes and cigars due to the cumbersome nature of the related equipment. And they went on to say, quote, "These products do not appear to have widespread significant usage at this time."
Yes.
And
I'm sorry, we're out of time. Go ahead and wrap up if you can.
that was a good place to stop if you guys have any questions.
Gary?
Yeah, actually, thank you for coming. I agree with what you're saying. The hookahs are not an issue that's substantial among the minors. And if we do decide on some sort of ban, I want to carve out the hookahs, have an exemption for the hookahs. Because I'm just looking at protecting the kids, and I think a whole lot of kids are going to hide a hookah in their pocket at school.
I agree.
Thank
you very much. Is there any other questions?
Oh, any other questions? Bob?
You say that's an average size. How small can they be?
They can be up to here.
Oh, and that's the lowest?
Mm-hmm.
So they wouldn't be taking those into the bathroom either.
No. I mean, the other thing it's worth mentioning is that this basin needs to be filled with water, so you need to be near a water source. And then at the very top, you need to have heated coals, which the coals itself takes about 10, 15 minutes to heat up. So the process itself is a little bit of a ritual. And, I don't know if you guys know that there's like Persians, Armenians, Arabs, Indians, Turks. This is all their heritage for hundreds of years. It's a cultural practice that's been around for a long time.
Well, I've watched this live TV program on television a lot, the live police, and some of them pull hookahs out of cars, but they don't look this small or that small.
Yeah.
They look bigger, smaller than what you described.
Well, this is the average size hookah.
Yeah, but I mean, some of them are only like this.
That small.
Look like.
Well, even it might be a bong. I'm not sure.
I don't know the difference, so it might be a bong.
Let's not take this as a time to educate Mr. McClellan on bongs, but let's move on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to express my appreciation for just the effort that you've made to educate yourself. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's a good group up here.
Yeah, Bob, I just wanted to assure you, I'm fairly well educated in all this stuff because I got 3 boys. And I'm completely comfortable with carving out an exemption for the hookahs.
Okay.
I'm looking at stopping kids from using this stuff.
Okay.
And the percentage of kids that use hookahs are going to be very tiny.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
And we have a large number of Middle Eastern residents in El Cajon, and that is part of their culture.
Right, I understand.
Where are we at with...
We have 11 more speakers.
Okay, let's all be dedicated in moving this through so we could get finished before the next meeting starts.
Yeah, right.
George Johnson and Isa Abuaita.
Hi, I'm George Johnson. I'm from Encinitas, but I do have parts for my hookah that are manufactured here. The one you just saw, I make those in Encinitas, but we get parts made here in El Cajon at 2 locations here on Johnson and then down on 2nd Street. I want to send my sincerest thank yous for carving out our traditional rich heritage, and I'd like to offer some brief solutions that I think about the teen vaping epidemic that we are seeing right now. The retailers are your first line of defense. We need to work with them to make sure that they are implementing best practices. You should make a guidance to require them to have third-party ID verification point-of-sale software where they have to take pictures of the patrons that are matching the IDs in the system. This is great. This is a great start. You're even giving reductions for compliance? How can anybody complain about that? We're all for responsible regulation, but a flavor ban would really significantly hurt a lot of people. So I do oppose a flavor ban, but I am for responsible regulation. The end of my high school career was kind of the time when cigarettes really went on the decline. We stopped seeing, it wasn't as cool. You weren't sexy, you weren't a rebel. You were an ashtray. We wouldn't kiss you. And that being said, that's what needs to change with the vaping thing. You need the teen peers to say, this isn't cool, it's not safe, it's not sexy, it's not cool. And it's the tobacco taxes that all these stores pay, the 60% to the state of California for the pleasure of doing business here, that pay for the truth campaigns, that pay for that stuff to happen. So also the educators need to be given the tools to reprimand children, not suspensions. They don't need to be taken out of schools. They should be given a Saturday school where they have to give a report on recent vaping epidemics and problems and the health problems of vaping. Give police the tools to issue citations for persons furnishing tobacco to minors in the same respect as furnishing alcohol to minors. Give the educators, give the police the tools, and I'm totally out of time. Thank you so much. I know it's getting late. Any questions?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Isa Abuaita. I am an attorney. I work in the tobacco industry. We represent a company that makes water pipe tobacco, hookah tobacco. We're based in the United Arab Emirates, and we distribute all over the world, including the U.S. I don't want to say too much because you guys seem to be really, keen on exempting hookah, which is, what our goal is ultimately. But I have lots of experience with FDA, and I could bring clarity to that whole process. And basically, in short, there is a compliance deadline coming up on May 11, 2020, wherein all vape manufacturers are going to have to apply to get marketing authorization from the FDA in order to remain on the market. So come May 11, 2020, anything that hasn't obtained pre-market authorization has to be taken off the market because it's an adulterated product. So just keep that in mind as you guys are, deliberating the ordinance. Yes, sir.
Isn't heroin illegal?
Heroin
is sold.
As far as I know, heroin is illegal.
So don't you think that they're going to just sell it anyway, whether it's approved by the FDA or not? So anyway.
Let's let him finish, and then we can ask him some questions. Yeah. You can have 20 seconds more if you need it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So just a couple of comments. Bans are a tricky thing. If our ultimate goal is to get these things out of the hands of our youth, then let's do stricter enforcement of our rules. Okay, let's do increased sting ups. Definitely agree with increased fines, increased suspensions. So, with that, I'll yield to you if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Okay, let me see if there's any questions for you. All right. No, thank you for coming.
Yep, thank you.
Lisa Watkins Bridges and Carol Green.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Carol Green. I am the president-elect of the California State PTA, and I am the wife of a middle school teacher here in El Cajon. I know, God bless me. I am also the mother of 3 now young adults. So I am here on behalf of the PTA and on behalf of myself to share a couple of pieces of information with you. First of all, yay, we all agree, everyone, that we should stiffen the fans and nobody should ever sell the kids. I mean, let's do that right now. And that is a great start. Also, I am an eternal optimist. I want to solve all the problems. I don't want kids using heroin. I don't want them using marijuana. I don't want them using tobacco. I don't want them drinking. I want them getting straight A's. I want everything for my kids and for every other kid in the state of California. But we got to start someplace. And you have an opportunity right here, right now, to start with the kids in El Cajon. And this is a really important thing that you can do. So let's start with penalties. Let's talk for a second about vaping and flavors. You all received this lovely brochure. I know because I dropped it off a couple weeks ago. And I would really encourage you to read it. I want to share with you one item that's in it because I don't have time to share much more. Vaping is not recommended for cessation. There are 7 FDA, we've been talking a lot about the FDA, approved medications for cessation. None of them are inhaled. So that's something that's important. I'm running out of time. The best way to prevent tobacco addiction is to prevent youth from ever using it. 81% of the kids who use tobacco started with flavors. So banning flavors would go a long way to help our kids. And only because this was mentioned, one of the gentlemen that was up here said we should turn the clock, or we can't turn the clock back 8 years ago. 8 years ago was 2011. Between 2011 and 2015, students increased 900% in vaping. So, and this statistics in packets as well, and it can be footnoted. Current e-cigarette use has increased 78% among high school students. So between 2011 and 2015, vaping, e-cigarette smoking went up 900%. For 30 years, we've been making great progress. People hate cigarettes. It's been wonderful. And now, that fast, we have flavors and we have vapes and it's cool. And I agree with the gentleman that said we should make it uncool again. Best way to make it uncool again? Make it not available. Thank you so much.
Let me see if there's any questions. Thank you for coming.
Thomas Galloway and Tony Sotile.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Howdy. I'm in. My other glasses have the lenses falling out, so that's why I've been.
That's happened to me before too.
Incognito.
Okay, yeah.
But one of the recent popes said just 3 words: addiction is slavery. Okay, for those of you who are really concerned about the freedom of a person to have nicotine, think about the people that are in the surrounding areas who do not have, it was not their choice to have it. And I grew up with many people in my family. I've lost 4 close members of my family to nicotine, and it ruined their lives for many of their years. I know Bob Clenney, it won't affect him, but the younger people out here do not realize how many people have died and their lives ruined because of nicotine being addictive. And I always remember in Congress, they had 4 or 5, P. Lorillard and all of the different tobacco people, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, it's not addicting.
And I just wanted to take them by the neck and thing. But I can't do revenge. I want legal revenge.
Yeah.
I do not think that nicotine in the vaping is anything but a gateway drug back to P. Lord making humongous profits.
Sir, we've run out of time. There may be some questions, though.
Okay.
You want to make your last point? Go ahead.
One last point is...
It looks entertaining. You got to find it.
Well, think about this. Be careful of where you're getting your research. All of the tobacco people, tobacco companies, had paid people who would say anything in the name of their research. Cigarettes.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We're losing it. There we go. Okay, who's next?
Tony.
Tony Sotile is one of our planning commissioners, has been for how long now?
Since 2006.
Very nice. Okay.
Okay. I didn't start smoking until I joined the Army. The drill sergeant said, "Smoke break," and I thought it was a command. Put all joking aside, I do agree with increasing the restrictions insofar as the smoking ordinance is concerned and controlling the tobacco industry. And I've heard a lot of things about freedom and freedom of choice, insinuated here and there. And also heard that to restrict somebody is against Christian morality regarding a choice. Well, Christian liberty is a theological perspective. And what Christian liberty actually means is that according to the Bible, we're all born sinners. And when we're all born sinners, we don't have the capacity to act morally. And the only time that we can act morally, because we cannot go against our own nature. We cannot act. So any choice that we make it according to our nature. So the only time we can make a moral choice, which is moral choice according to God, is when we have God, the Holy Spirit, residing in our hearts, who convicts us to make a moral choice. That's what Christian liberty is to do good and to do something which is morally good, which does not come from the person itself. It comes from God himself. And also the Bible teaches that if you allow any of the little ones to fall away or commit a sin, it's better that a millstone was tied around your neck and you were thrown into the sea and were drowned. So the Bible is very specific regarding Christian liberty, morality, and what as adults we are to do. We as adults teach our children by what we act. We can say one thing and act a different way. We're teaching the children to act the way that we act. So therefore, what we say has no relevance whatsoever. So I do recommend in making vaping illegal. The reason being, I recommend until there's a study why so many people are dying, why so many people are being hospitalized. So I do believe that we do have an important issue right now. Cigarette smoking has been around for a very long time, but vaping has not, and now this has arisen. So I do recommend to the City Council to make it illegal until there's more information, and with that information we can make proper choices, because not only does it kill adults, it kills children, because children want to be like adults and they want to act like adults. Okay?
Thanks. Let me see if there's any questions, Tony. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
We have 5 more speakers, Lorenzo Higley and James Elia.
Hey, James.
How's it going, Mr. Mayor? Evening, council members. My name is James Elia. I'm the former Director of Operations for the Neighborhood Market Association. and a proud member of the Chaldean community, and I'm here to urge you against adoption of this ordinance. Undoubtedly, nobody is advocating for the sale of tobacco products to children. Penalties should be hefty. Regulations should be high. However, I feel an outright ban on vape products would be absurd to say the least, especially for a council that loves to call things un-American. Like prohibition and like marijuana bans, this will backfire and continue to criminalize people with black market sales. No question, I look at this ban as a continued attack on the Chaldean community, and coincidentally, other business owners that happen to be people of color. I've seen this council decline liquor licenses despite applicants passing all required procedures. I've seen this council decline gas station applications despite passing all regulatory compliance needs. I've seen applications denied for building expansions, and I've even seen a disgraced mayor have to step down for calling Chaldeans welfare cases. This just adds to that laundry list. I find it commendable that Councilmember Kendrick feels it necessary as a parent to do something about this. But Councilmember, you were not elected to be our parent. You were elected to make sure that Rome wasn't burning, and Rome is indeed not burning. Unless we talk about the opioid crisis, which is killing people in this city. Unless we want to talk about homelessness, which is killing people in this city. And in response, we get panhandling bans in the city, and we get ordinances where you cannot feed people in public parks. I came here 2 months ago, and I told you the watered-down climate action plan that you were passing was going to result in lawsuits. Indeed, the city is being sued. And I'm here to tell you again, this will result in lawsuits. How much will we be spending as taxpayers in legal fees so someone can add to a political resume that they took on big tobacco, when in actuality you're drastically helping big tobacco by taking out their biggest competition? And if you would just entertain me, I'll wrap up right now. Just a quick question on conduct. Councilmember Kendrick, I've always liked you. I've always considered you a friend. I've noticed you saying you are selling something that's murdering kids. You are killing our kids. Okay? Ramon Mansour came in here as a business owner, and you looked at him and you said, you're selling something that's killing our kids. And then when he tried explaining himself, you said, I think we need to move forward. It was very dismissive. I can tell you right now, as a member of the Chaldean community, there's nobody like the Mansour family that does something, that does things for kids and charity work in our community. I understand you're very passionate about this issue, but to disrespect somebody who's drastically helped my community is uncalled for, and you owe him an apology. Online, you've been saying it. My father came here from Iraq,
James,
as a refugee. Give me 10 seconds.
Okay.
As a refugee, a single father of 8 because my mother passed away at a young age from cancer, and he made a living owning a tobacco shop for 31 years. He's no murderer. He did everything he could to make sure his kids could survive. So it's very condescending, and I really don't appreciate it. Again, I understand you're passionate about it, but it's uncalled for. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Okay.
3 more speakers,
We're getting there.
Jaime Rojas and Vanessa Eastgate.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. I have some documentation of facts.
Yeah, you
actual
can give it
facts
to this
the city
young
clerk.
lady here, and she'll get it to us.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Jaime Rojas. I'm with the National Association of Tobacco Outlets. We're an organization that's been around for a quarter century, representing retailers throughout the United States, including here in El Cajon. I'm going to give some facts, and facts that I'm handing out. In the last 3 years, both the FDA and California Code Enforcement have shown that 95% success rate in sting operations of retailers here in El Cajon. 95% success rate in 3 years. In addition to that, I also am passing a documentation from reporting done by the Cajon Valley Union School District, indicating in the past few years some of the issues at hand. Let me give you current alcohol and drug use, 6%. Current cigarette smoking, 2%. Current electronic cigarette use, 4%. Marijuana, 2%. And mental health, 22 to 26% from the city of El Cajon. In addition to that, we've heard people mention about San Francisco, and the flavor ban, there's 7% out of the 480-some cities in the state of California that have a flavor ban. The one caveat the person mentioned, it is not working. The numbers are staying the same on youth accessing it because, as many people mentioned today, two things. Online sales, which can only be controlled by the federal government, and two, adults buying or giving it to youth under the age. Here's my recommendation. We work with many cities doing grants through the Department of Justice in helping using electronic sales and giving grants to small business owners who can't afford it. Two is the ability to raise the tobacco retail license in order to increase education outreach and code enforcement. And then we're not in favor of immediate suspension, but the current numbers, as staff has written, actually works. The penalties work. You see a dramatic change from first violation coming down to second violation to more than half. So we're here to work with you. We hear what you're saying, and we have solutions for you, and we love to work with you, and I appreciate you taking the questions. I appreciate you taking the time. I know it was 3 hours, and we'll go from there, but thank you so much, and any questions I might have from any of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Councilmember Kendrick would like to make a comment.
Yeah, I'm looking. This is the state investigators that do the stings. There's a big difference between how we do our stings and the state does the stings. The state, the kids that go in to try and buy the tobacco, they're not allowed to lie. So the guy says, "Are you 21?" They have to say no. So the retailer knows that they can sell the person. That they know to not sell to the person. But our guys that come in, our kids that come in to do the sting, they're allowed to lie just like a real kid would. And he says, "Oh, I'm 21." And then they know, "Oh, this isn't the guy that's stinging us. Here's your tobacco." So that's the difference. And that's why this is meaningless. Yes. That's the people, the kids that are in sting operations just act like the real world. They're allowed to say, "Yeah, I'm 21," but then they don't check the ID,
Sir,
and the retailer knows that if anybody says they're 21, it's not a sting person coming in from the state.
Okay, would you like to come back up and answer that?
I do. I find it hard to believe that the ABC, when they do their sting operations, does it the same way as the federal government as well as the state. So lying and entrapment just puts the city into a legal predicament. So I would recommend following what the state does and what the federal government does in both tobacco and alcohol.
It makes a sting operation absolutely useless if the retailers know, I don't sell tobacco to this person. If he says, "No, I'm not 21," so you might as well not have a sting operation at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stick with the problem at hand, and there's obviously lots of room for spirited debate over all of this, but we're almost done with the speakers, so that's we may go home tonight yet. So, who's
Vanessa Eastgate. Okay, we received an additional card, so our last two speakers are Edward Lee and John Harris.
Hi, Mr. Lee. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I believe over-regulation, I'm against it. I'm okay with the stiffer fines. I'm actually a biology student at Mesa and SDSU. I have no connections to the tobacco industry. I worked for a tobacco store when I was younger, when I was 21, but I quit that job a long time ago. These mom and pop stores, they're like lower middle class, and the 60 to 30-day ban would totally annihilate their business. Because I managed their stores before, and I think the most effective approach to helping children not go into vape products is mentoring. I was mentored to stay away from that stuff. I think the bigger scourge is alcohol. It kills 4,300 children a year, each year, while vape is only like 18 since its inception, which is like 8 years ago. And also we have like a problem with homelessness. Homelessness is like dramatically high. Housing is incredibly expensive. We need to focus on low-income housing. I think we're going the wrong direction. What I wanted to say is when you make something that really isn't a crime, you still make real criminals. And these people, you're just going to open up a black market that comes from Mexico, or they're just going to drive to a different state. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Our last speaker is John Harris.
Welcome, John.
Hello, Council. My name is John Harris, and I've been affiliated with the vape community for the past 5 years. Flavors are a big aspect of our industry, and they are appealing. I refuse to stand before you and tiptoe around that. In our store, we offer all of our customers a survey. The survey depicts their age, how many years they've been tobacco-free, and what flavor e-liquid they used to get off of their prior tobacco product. All of these adults, myself included, have been successful while using flavored e-liquid. Let me emphasize the fact that I mention adults. Every company I have worked for has implemented serious age verification processes, disallowing any and all sale to minors. Council, the adult vape community does not want the youth of our country to vape either. On this subject, we stand with you. But the problem does not lie with the flavors. The problem lies with who can distribute vape products as a whole. Instead of banning vaping, we should take a similar approach like Salt Lake City, Utah took. What they have done is heavily regulate who is allowed to sell these products. Removing these products from unauthorized vape shops will limit these access points for our youth to obtain this merchandise. Heavy consequences should be placed on those parties that can't adhere to the law, fines and closures to those that continue to sell to minors, and I also propose that we hold these minors accountable for illegally obtaining these products. Let's not dismiss how all of this started, people purchasing black market THC cartridges. These cartridges were illegally obtained, and instead of going after that source, you are holding an entire industry wrongfully at blame. It has been stated by both the FDA and the CDC that these THC cartridges are to blame for the illnesses that have plastered our media pages over the last month. Nicotine-based e-liquid and authorized vape shops are not the problem. The black market and unauthorized retailers are. As a result of the ban, hundreds of the city's residents will suffer. People will resort back to leaf tobacco products, a substance that is blatantly more dangerous than nicotine-based e-liquid. Many will lose their jobs, and those that are resourceful enough will continue to find vape products through other avenues. The same black market that has produced these illegal THC products will produce other vape products, and that is where your residents will turn. The consequences of that will be on your hands, because you have chosen to limit your adult residents' rights to legally purchase a product. The vape community is not the problem. Who you are allowing to distribute our products is. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Are we done? Is there any more?
No more cards, sir.
No more cards. Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. That was really great. Everybody got along very well. Nobody shot anybody down. I thought you guys handled yourselves fantastic. We're now going to see where we go in the next part of this, which is to bring it to the council, and the council will make some decisions. Now, one thing I can tell you is that what we're here tonight for this specific agenda item is that we have to discuss the modifying the existing ordinance, whether we want to modify it or not. And that's really the only decision we can make tonight. We cannot pass an ordinance that is not on the agenda. And so banning e-cigarettes is not on the agenda. Dealing with the flavors is not on the agenda. We can, however, make a a suggestion to staff to bring us back at the next council meeting, an ordinance that would reflect the decision we make tonight, and then we would again have a public hearing and talk about it. So just to make sure everything's clear. So I think the first thing we should do is talk about the existing ordinance and whether or not the council feels like it's fine the way it is, it needs to be lightened, or it needs to be made more heavy. Bob.
Well, I heard a lot of shop owners that they would not object to a $2,500 fine for the first offense, and I'm totally in favor of that.
Point of order. I think we need to close the public hearing. Is that correct?
Not for this one.
Not for this one?
Public hearing.
Yeah, we don't.
It's administrative.
It's administrative.
It's administrative, so we don't have
I'm
to.
new.
Hey, look, I wouldn't know either, except that there's a big note with a big yellow highlight that says you don't have to close the public hearing. So Angela helps me. So anyway, so Bob says that he's in favor of raising the fine for the first offense to $2,500.
Absolutely, and maybe even give them a 30-day suspension.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk it out.
Not
You're
a
going to let the
60,
council
a
do their
30.
job now. Gary?
Well, I think the suspension is a thing that really has the bite in it because they sell so much. I mean, they'll just work the fine into the cost of doing business. It's clearly not working now. That's what we've had, for years now. So it has to be some sort of suspension.
Steve or Phil, do you want to comment on this?
Well, I think the real teeth is in the suspension, not the fine. The fine, if the average tobacco sales is $65,000 a month, even if it's more than $1,000 a month in sales, then it would make sense to pay the fine and keep on selling. So the fine is not the deterrent. The fine's to recover the administrative effort to enforce this, in my point of view. So I would suggest a $1,000 fine and 30-day suspension for the first offense. And the reason why I say 30 days is it's got to get somebody's attention. If it's done by an employee, that shouldn't put you out of business, but it better get your attention. Don't sell to kids. And your employees are accountable, and you're accountable for your employees. You cannot fine your employee. It's just against the law. You can't fine your employee. You can fire them, but you can't fine them. So 30-day suspension, I think, is reasonable. It should get any owner's attention here in El Cajon. $1,000 is to cover the city's cost of enforcing that. The second offense, I would say 60 days. It's going to hurt more. And this is within I'd make it a 3-year period, not a 5-year period. Second offense in 3 years would be a 60-day suspension, and the fine would be $2,500 for a second offense within 3 years. The third offense, I would say, would be not only 120 days suspension, but you must purchase ID verification software, as they have to do with alcohol. It's really going to hurt if you do it 3 times in 3 years. It's just got to stop, folks. It's just got to stop. We have to protect our kids. You can't make money off the back of our kids. And that's what we're all agreeing with here. So to the man who was in the Indian Wells T-shirt, I forget where you are, the tennis player, he said, if you're a responsible business, this is no problem. That's true. So I'm proposing 1,030, 2,560, 5,000, and 120 days, plus purchasing the software for age verification. That's my proposal. 1,030, 2,560, 5,120 days, plus purchase of the software.
Can I ask you not to make that a motion, though, until we've all spoken? Sounds good. Yeah.
No,
Phil?
The ordinance says $2,500.
This is a question to staff. Have we had any kind of meeting with store owners and retailers regarding some of the suggestions that they made? It seems like some of them They want to be part of the conversation. Have we had any kind of meeting with them?
We have not. I mean, I'll just. I think the recommendation from council, the direction, was to analyze the data and come back. So, I mean, the direction could be to go out and meet with folks. As you heard, there's a lot of different opinions. I heard liquor stores being lined up in opposition against smoke shops. I mean, we got to be careful on how we engage the public. The other thing that I'll just point out, I heard some interesting suggestions about going after kids that purchase the product, going after parents that purchase the product, going after the employee that sells the product. The problem is that where we have teeth as a city is in land use regulation. Everything else would be state law required. And so where we have enforcement powers is really with the license holder or the retail operator. So that's where our wheelhouse can be. All these other ideas are great, but there are areas that we just don't have teeth in.
But we can't even pull the license because that's a state-regulated license to sell tobacco. Is that true?
We can pull our city retailer's license, but not the state license. You're exactly right.
Okay.
Wait.
Can I continue?
Yeah.
Sorry. I supported increasing penalties for retailers that were selling to minors. I'm fine with increasing those penalties as well. And it should be harsh.
Gary?
Graham, I just wanted some clarification. If we take away their tobacco retailer's license, they can't sell anymore, right? Okay, so
not legally in the city of El Cajon.
Okay, so we can take it away on their fourth violation.
Currently, the current policy is if a fourth violation occurs in a 5-year period, then you permanently are suspended. Your license is permanently suspended.
Okay, yeah, I don't want to go back on that. I think that's going the wrong direction. if
that'd be a fourth, and we're not changing the recommendation. That what we're saying is right now the code reads the only way we can fine a fourth violator is if that fourth violation occurs within a 1-year period of the first violation, which will never happen because it usually would be 4 years because we do these stings about once a year. So I'm recommending whatever fine level you set, that you remove that language about your second, third, fourth violation. Only the fine applies if it's within 1 year of the first infraction.
Okay, the other thing that I would like to do is, well, first of all, I think the fee reduction for compliance is good. It's kind of like a carrot and a stick thing. And because the majority of retailers don't sell to kids, so why punish them? However, the ones that do sell to kids, I do want to punish them. And I think what we need to do when we catch someone selling to kids, we take that proposed $1,000 fine and use it to sting them 2 more times within the next year. And I think that would really put the fear into them to not do it again. I mean, these guys can figure out who's 21 and who's not just by its portrait or landscape on the license.
That's possible. You could write that. You could write that into your ordinance to, in the event of an infraction, within a set amount of time, the city's required to do another enforcement activity.
Okay, I would say 2 is what I'm going to be proposing.
Okay, I'm going to take the unpopular side of the argument. First off, I want to say I don't smoke. I don't like smoking. I wish cigarettes and alcohol were not on Earth so they wouldn't be killing people, but they are, and they're legal products. I think the issue here for me is not the fine, but the banning of their ability to sell their product. We are putting them in a very, very difficult situation. And not just them. We're putting the entire community in a situation by glibly taking away their ability to make enough money to pay their mortgages. We're going to see more of these stations going to default. We're going to see people having significant financial burdens as a result. I know that the argument is that $2,500 or $5,000 wouldn't hurt, but I believe it would, and I believe it's the next logical step in the evolution of this. We don't go from a very small amount, which is a $1,000 fine now, and you're in essence talking about a $65,000 fine, because you're going to stop them from being able to sell their product for a month, so they lose $65,000. Does it make sense to go from $1,000 to $65,000 without trying a year of $5,000 or without trying a year of $10,000? Doesn't that make more sense than just going so heavy-handed the other way? And that's one of the big reasons I got involved in government in the first place, is I saw that government runs over people sometimes, and they get very heavy-handed. It's very easy to sit on this dais and say they can afford it, and I know that because a lot of people think I'm rich. They say, oh, he's the mayor, he's rich, he can afford it. But I'm on a budget like everybody else. I run out of money before I run out of month, just like everybody else. And I think this would be a very, very draconian way to go. So I recommend increasing the fine for the first offense without putting in the suspension, increasing the fine for the second offense, adding the suspension, and then on the third offense, do your worst. Because I think if you can't figure these things out in 3 offenses, there's something wrong. I have sat down with probably a dozen store owners who've told me all the same variations of story. I did everything I thought I had to do. I bought software, I trained people, I bought cameras, I did everything I thought I had to do, and then somebody slipped up. I wasn't there. It was 2 a.m. They sold something. And I know that's no excuse, but at the same time, for one violation, we're going to take away $65,000. If we did that to a grocery store or a car dealership, we'd be putting these people out of business. I know my business would be very, very difficult for us to absorb a $65,000 hit for making one mistake. So my ask of you tonight is to be more moderate, to be more reasonable about this, and not go so far in this process. Phil.
What if we kind of molded Councilman Kendrick's idea of first offense, use that money to then carry out other stings on the same retailer, have the $5,000 fine for the first offense, and use that money to expedite the process of discovering if it's a mistake or if they're just an irresponsible retailer. If we did the $5,000 fine first, and with that first offense, then we use that money to operate more stings on that retailer.
Mayor Willis, could I interject here briefly? I don't want to take too long, but our charter does not allow us to give a $5,000 fine. Our charter limits fines for civil fines and penalties at $2,500 per offense per day. So that would mean the only way to get to $5,000 is to have 2 separate offenses detailed and cited for or occurring through one of our sting operations.
Thank you, Counselor. So I agree with what you're saying, and the only caveat would be that if this is a failure, if the statistics tell us that they're still not compliant and they're cavalier about this, and they're still selling to kids, we can have this discussion again in 6 months or even a year, and add the more stiffer penalties. I don't know. Phil, are you comfortable with the 25?
Yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable with the 25, and the whole idea behind this is that if they are negligent or irresponsible or flippant about it, they'll move up to that second violation quicker within a year, which is going to be a potential ban or 30-day or whatever it is. And so we're taking care of the problem within a reasonable amount of time without, like you're saying, some of these shop owners are saying, I didn't know what was going on. I did everything I thought I needed to get it right, and something slipped through the crack. So,
Bob?
I was going to ask Morgan, if we fine them $2,500 on the first time and we require 2 or 3 more stings that year, when we go in for a sting, can we bill them for $1,000 for that sting?
No, we can't. We don't have that as a part of our ordinance, number one. Number two, I also would remind you that our ordinance allows any person who's been cited for this offense or been notified that they violated the ordinance, the right to due process. So they have a right to an administrative hearing. That costs us money too. So when we're talking about $1,000, it's not paying for even getting through the hiring of an administrative law judge and sending out all the notices and things like that. So the $2,500 would help.
Yeah.
The $1,000 doesn't seem to be effective or efficient for
Right.
us at this point in time.
I think that $2,500 and then have 2 more stings at least that year. And if they do it again, another $2,500 and maybe a 30-day suspension.
Well, the sting operations cost us money too. In fact, unless CASA does it for a reduced rate or for free or somebody else steps in, it is going to cost us money. We'll never recover through the licensing and the fines. I doubt we have ever recovered the amount of money that costs us to enforce this ordinance right now.
Well, would the $2,500 help pay for the second sting?
Well, it would help put money back in the general fund so that we could plan more
the second
stings.
sting. Yeah. And if they violate it again, it's another $2,500. Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Well, I agree with you, Bob. I think that, Steve, you want to comment on this?
Well, I guess this is where we compromise in open session. This is what government's all about, is you get to hear us debate, as we haven't talked to each other ahead of time to figure out what we're going to do. So this is where we compromise in front of you to see if we can come to a consensus. You've heard my position on a harsh penalty. Enough is enough. We're not seeing good results with a $1,000 fine on the first thing. I appreciate your positions on freedoms in America and the freedom of a person to choose what kind of business they want to be in and to not be such a burden, perhaps, in such a way that it hinders that freedom. But with that freedom comes responsibility. So I guess my compromise on this would be $2,500 fine on the first offense, with a couple of sting scheduled in the next coming year, but that's your pass. And then the second time, I think I am with Bob saying it's a $2,500 fine and it's a 30-day suspension.
And the third time, 60-day suspension?
And the third time, I'll give you one more chance, 60-day suspension and a $2,500 fine. And then the fourth offense is you're just not paying attention. You don't really should be selling these products.
Gary, can you live with us?
Okay.
And I'm saying within 3 years.
Okay. So here's what we got so far. $2,500 fine the first time and 2 more stings.
Within a year.
Within a year. The second time, $2,500 fine, 30-day suspension, 2 more stings.
Yeah.
Is this going to break the bank?
That's the cost of doing business.
Well, they're getting $2,500 every time they.
Okay. Third time, $2,500 and 60 days. Fourth time, you're out. No longer sell tobacco at that location.
Within 3 years, is that the consensus, right?
Within
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Would you make that a motion?
Mayor, before that's a motion, I just want to point out that right now, just so you're aware, and maybe you are, but currently the second violation is a 90-day suspension right now, the current policy. And so if your
going
goal
back.
is to water down the suspension, you've done that, but I don't know if that's what your intention is.
Well, I'm walking back from that in one sense and walking forward on another sense. I'm saying I'm going to give a business owner a pass on the second time, but you got to stop selling stuff to kids. And if you don't get it after 2 times and 30-day suspension, you probably shouldn't be selling these products. But I'm with Bill saying, even on a second time, our goal is not to put these people out of business. It's to get their attention. Perhaps 90 days is a little too draconian, and I think we've reached a consensus here.
Gary, would you like to make that a motion?
Hey, why don't you state it again, Gary?
Okay, here's what I've got after crossing all these things out and rewriting them. So let's see if I got this right. $2,500 fine for the first time. No suspension, but 2 more stings. Second time, $2,500 fine, 30-day suspension, 2 more stings within a year. Third time, $2,500 fine, 60-day suspension. Graham, or maybe Morgan, you remember this. We got one of the big grocery stores like second or third time.
It was a Vaughn's for a third time.
And that was, what? That was 90 days then, right?
That was a full year.
Oh, it was a full year.
But they didn't serve a full year. You negotiated that down.
Oh, that's a good point. Because sometimes these are negotiated down.
We don't have to negotiate.
Don't negotiate it down.
Let's not make it too complicated.
Okay.
I think that what we agreed on seems reasonable to me.
Okay, I'll make that a motion then.
Second.
All right, staff, are you comfortable with the motion and the second before I take a vote?
So I heard, just so you know, the third 2,500 plus 60 days, and then the fourth. You're done. You're done. 20. Can we do a $2,500 fine though, just to recover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you comfortable with that? The fourth violation getting that treatment?
Yeah, the fourth violation, they can't sell tobacco again at that location.
And that's
fined.
That's in your motion.
Yes, and
They're fined $2,500.
and they're fined $2,500 to recover our costs.
Second, Phil, I'll be right with you. And then Bob, you made the second.
Second, yes.
Are you comfortable with the change to the motion?
Absolutely.
Just a clarification, right now, the retailers get an option to choose a fine or a suspension, and we're removing that option.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes,
and now
we are.
we're removing that option
Right.
and saying you're going to get, you don't have an option to choose. We're removing the choice.
Oh, and then the other thing I need to
Good
add
point.
here is the fee reduction for compliance. Are we okay on the money side on that?
Yeah.
And that is a 20% reduction if you don't get a violation within a year
3 years.
or 3 years. All right, want to add?
I'm good with that.
Okay, so Gary's going to add, just so everybody's clear, 20% reduction in the cost of getting your tobacco
License.
to the city if you go 3 years without a violation. He's going to add that to the end of the rest of the long motion he made. Bob, is that okay to add that to your
Yes.
second? All right, we've got a motion and we've got a second. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Now, don't get too happy. We have to talk about the vaping now. Okay, council. So we can't do anything tonight about voting on vaping, but we can direct staff to come back to us with an ordinance. And I'll start with Gary.
Yeah, I think we need to take a look at this again. Probably in staff, does it take is 30 days long enough for you to kind of gather all the information? Because we got all sorts of conflicting information coming in, and the state and feds are moving around, and I want to be clear that I want to exempt the hookah flavored, in any case, the hookah flavored tobacco bricks. This is not to say I'm going to vote for anything. It's just I want more information.
We don't have to take any kind of action tonight, Gary. We could just direct staff to come back for an information item, and we can decide at that next meeting what we want to do with it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
You comfortable with that, Steph?
So I'd recommend perhaps the first meeting of November for that.
Okay.
There's only one meeting.
Only one meeting in November, so that would be that one. That would help staff.
You don't need a vote on this, right? No. Okay. All right, we're not going to take any action then tonight on the vaping part of this, and unless you all want to stay for the rest of this council meeting, you're free to go. Oh, you hurt my feelings.
Well, everybody's running out of the building.
Bill, how about 13?
Yeah, let's go on. No, we're going to continue. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can keep it down, please. Item 13 is a report on the East County Advanced Water Purification Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement. And staff, would you tell us about this, please? By the way, guys, I got
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I even showered for this, and everybody's leaving, so I'm a little bit offended. Tonight before you were talking about the JPA, or the Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement between the City of El Cajon, Padre Municipal Water District, and the County of San Diego through its San Diego County Sanitation District. And we're talking about the East County Advanced Water Purification project. And so we have taken this project far enough now that we have the opportunity to form a JPA between the three members. And so I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that. And this is that fun project that we're going to be encountering here, and I'll try to get through it very quickly. This is very boring, but I need to tell you all about this. So
nothing you say is boring.
That was a hard act to follow. I got to tell you, I forgot what I was going to say in that 3 hours sitting there. So the JPA, general provisions, basically boils down to a purpose, and so it's to create. The purpose of this is to create this agreement that we're talking about, authorizing us to enter into, is to create the authority to provide for governance and administration, to plan for, design, construct, operate, maintain the project, which is the Advanced Water Purification Treatment Plant, perform services for members specifically related to the project. The term will be the effective date until termination, and the powers are to exercise common powers to construct, operate, and maintain the project, subject to restrictions applicable to the El Cajon as a charter city. So the JPA is adopting the powers of the city of El Cajon as a charter city, being that it's the least restrictive on purchasing and other items pertaining to the governance of the AWP. So all parties are in favor of adopting the city's charter regulations under that, and they are excited too. So the authority board, so the board is going to be a 3-member board from the governing body of each wastewater member agency. There will also be an alternate, so there will be 3 alternates, 1 from each member. And compensation of the JPA board members will be up to the individual agencies, not the JPA. Ex officio, board may adopt bylaws allowing ex officio members to participate as non-voting members. For example, Helix Water District, who has been participating in this endeavor all along, will not be a board member, but will be a non-voting member. That's allowed under this agreement. And so the voting will take place as 1 member, 1 vote, and majority vote on all items. So you have 3 votes total. Does that make sense? Yeah. You're all with me still? Okay. So the authority officers. So the board officers, there will be a chair and a vice chair. There'll be a secretary to the board, and the administrator will appoint a secretary unless the board appoints another individual. So we're going to be talking about the administrator and who is going to be the administrator that works for the board in just a minute. But there will also be a treasurer and auditor. So the administrator's chief financial officer, unless the board appoints another, that will be contained within the JPA. The attorney in the interim will be the member agency's general counsel. And so the JPA on their first meeting will have to appoint which member agency's general counsel will act as the interim. However, long term, it will be appointed by the board and may not be counsel from another member agency. So they're going to have to go out and solicit a third-party counsel to represent the JPA. That's the end game, long-term solution. So, authority of the administrator, the role is so the administrator will be to carry out the day-to-day tasks of administering the authority and tasks necessary for financing, planning, designing, permitting, and procuring the project. The interim administrator, the agreement designates Padre Dam as the administrator through March 31st, 2021, with a possible one-year extension. And the long term could be a separate agreement with Padre Dam or somebody else if the JPA chooses at that time. The administrator may also be appointed as the operator. Independent contractor type relationship, so the authority hiring Padre Dam as an entity, and Padre Dam will designate primary point of contact. The compensation to the administrator will be a quarterly service fee and reimbursement for JPA-related expenses. The authority budget and financing. So the budget will be set. There'll be an interim budget within 120 days that the JPA will need to come up with. And then there'll be an annual budget that's reached by July 1st of each year. If the JPA cannot do that, the previous budget continues with CPI adjustment increased for any previously authorized bonds and contracts. JPA funding in general will be funded by grants, donations, loans, bond funds, service fees, and charges paid by the members and non-members. In the short term, you have approved an IFA or an interim funding agreement already. That was done previously. And there'll be backup funding if approved by the JPA board. Long term, it's all about service agreements. So there's going to be a wastewater service agreement, which the wastewater agencies will be paying to the JPA. And then there will be water service agreements or water purchase agreements where Helix Water will be purchasing water, the product water from the JPA. And you can kind of see the relationship there in that graphic on the left of how the JPA kind of fits in the middle between everybody. So any amendments or withdrawals or termination, kind of going over these things. So an amendment is writing approved and signed by all members. A withdrawal, any member may withdraw but will not affect any separate agreements like the wastewater service agreement or the water purchase agreement. All members for termination must agree unless only two remain and one seeks to withdraw. And assets at termination, so Padre Dam has the option to purchase the project at fair market value reasonably determined by the authority of the JPA. After paying liabilities, all remaining assets dispersed among the members passed on proportionate cash contributions unless the board unanimously decides otherwise. So what's up and coming here? So tonight, October 8th, we are approving or asking to approve the agreement. And on October 22nd, we will be recommending appointments by the mayor and approval at the October 22nd meeting. Padre Dam is doing that action all in one on October 16th, and the county is doing theirs on October 30th. That's when their regularly scheduled meetings are occurring. Administrative legal tasks that are up and coming. The agreement requires a regular meeting schedule. So I'll talk about when the first meeting is already scheduled. And then at that meeting, there's going to be some duties that have to be performed. They have to come up with a regular meeting schedule, and it needs to be at least quarterly. And after the JPA reps are appointed, identify the regular meeting schedule and schedule monthly special meetings needed in the first year, because this is going to be a huge ramp up and there's going to be an obligation there. There'll also be the administration of the oath of office for the JPA representatives and alternates prior to taking office. So the meeting is November 5th, and at that meeting they'll adopt the resolution setting the meeting date, time, and location. They'll conduct election of officers for president and vice president, required annually. and there will be they'll need to adopt the resolution approving the JPA as a party to the interim funding agreement. They'll designate and approve the contract with interim legal counsel from one of the member agencies. And lastly, at that November 5th meeting, they'll need to adopt policy modeling El Cajon's flexible design build policy and authorize release of RFQ for package number 1, which is to build the AWP plant. So with that being said, it brings me to the conclusion here and recommendation to approve the East County Water Purification Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement. That is my report.
Thank you. You have any speaker cards on this item?
No, sir, no cards.
Okay. Council, it's with us. Seems like a pretty straightforward thing. Right. We can have a discussion or somebody can make a motion.
Move adoption.
Second.
Move and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Graham.
Yes, sir.
You suggest that we finish this out and then go to dinner, or do you want to delay the second meeting?
If we take care of the building code item right now, then perhaps we can recess and then come back and finish up the rest of the agenda.
Fine. I'm sorry. What?
So item number 21.
21.
It's a first reading of an ordinance.
Oh, we got to go through. You want to come back to our activities reports then?
Yeah, if you'd like, we could. This is one of those unique ones every 3 years where we do a first reading of the ordinance without going through a public hearing process and set the public hearing for the following meeting, and then we have a public hearing and adoption because we're adopting these ordinances by reference. So it's really simple, and Mr. Shute is responsible for this, but if he'd rather, I can go ahead and explain that this is what we have to do every 3 years because California changes its building codes. Right. We have a number of codes that we have to change. They're listed in the agenda item. We ask that you make approval for the first reading and allow title be read on each one separately, and then when we come back in 2 weeks, we'll have a public hearing and adoption.
All right, I'll make a motion to do just that.
Second.
Move and second, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote. And with your permission, I will recite the titles for...
Yes, please.
After a recitation of the title, we should take a vote on each one so we can just make sure it's all done. Please.
The title for the California Building Code, an ordinance repealing Chapter 15.04 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, adopting the California Building Code 2019 edition as amended by reference, and adopting a new Chapter 15.04 to Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code.
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote. Electrical Code, and an ordinance repealing Section 15.20.010 of Chapter 15.20 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, adopting the California Electrical Code 2019 edition as amended by reference.
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Angela, for the record, were there any speaker cards on these items?
No cards, sir.
Thank you. Continue.
For the California Mechanical Code, an ordinance repealing Chapter 15.48 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, adopting the California Mechanical Code 2019 edition as amended by reference, and adopting a new Chapter 15.48 to Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code.
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote. For California Plumbing Code, an ordinance repealing Chapter 15.52 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, adopting the California Plumbing Code 2019 edition as amended by reference, and adding a new Chapter 15.52 to Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code.
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote. For the California Residential Code, an ordinance repealing Chapter 15.54 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, adopting the California Residential Code 2019 edition as amended by reference, and adding a new Chapter 15.54 to Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code.
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote. For the California Fire Code, an ordinance repealing Chapter 15.56 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, adopting the California Fire Code 2019 edition as amended by reference, and adding a new Chapter 15.56 to Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code.
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote. For the California Green Building Standards Code, an ordinance repealing Chapter 15.60 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, adopting the California Green Building Standards Code 2019 edition as amended by reference, and adding a new Chapter 15.60 to Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code.
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote. California Existing Building Code, an ordinance repealing sections 15.84.010 and 15.84.015 of Chapter 15.84 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, adopting the California Existing Building Code 2019 edition as amended by reference, and adding new sections 15.84.010 and 15.84.015 to Chapter 15.84 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code.
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote. The last title is California Historical Building Code, an ordinance repealing sections 15.88.010, 15.88.020, and 15.88.030 of Chapter 15.88 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, adopting the California Historical Building Code 2019 edition as amended by reference, and adding new sections 15.88.010, 15.88.020, and 15.88.030 of Chapter 15.88 of Title 15 of the El Cajon Municipal Code.
Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Mr. Mayor, what I'd recommend is, since we do have a 7 o'clock public hearing scheduled, and you've been at it, and for the audience's benefit, this is still a carryover from the 3 o'clock meeting. So I would recommend that we adjourn the 3 o'clock meeting and finish that business after the 7 o'clock public hearing.
Question.
But we take a break first.
Do we need to take a vote on
About the California Existing Building Code. You didn't read that one.
Yeah, that was the second to the last, sir. It was read.
No, the historical code.
Yeah, it was,
okay.
it was read.
Okay, it was on there twice.
I got a question. Adjourn versus recess.
Reset.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of important for notice purposes.
All
isn't
right,
it?
well, ladies and gentlemen, I sorry to do this. We're going to make this real quick. We're going to take a short recess so we can think clearly when we come back, and we will put the business that we didn't do on the first meeting to the end of the next meeting. So we'll get right to your issue when we get back at 7:15. Thank you very much. We'll be right back. Here with this, hold on. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to go back to 14.
Okay.
Okay. For as long as I've been on city council, I've never had to go back and finish an afternoon meeting in the evening, but that's what we're doing.
I've done it
So,
before.
There are no commissioner reports today, and item 14 is my activities report, which is as recorded. There is no legislative report on today's agenda. We are at the activities reports of council members. Councilmember Kendrick.
As reported.
Councilmember McClellan.
As reported.
Deputy Mayor Steve Goebel.
As reported.
Councilmember Phil Ortiz.
As reported.
Item 20 is a joint councilmember report by Deputy Mayor Goebel and Councilmember Kendrick. Gentlemen, will you tell us about this, please?
You know, El Cajon is, as you saw in the agenda report, has a lot of great things going on. And I think there's an opportunity to spread the message beyond the downtown bubble. People around the hills, Fletcher Hills, Olive Hills, Granite Hills, Horizon Hills, they don't always know what's going on around town, and especially the great things that are going on. I don't necessarily want to publicize specific businesses when they open up to say, oh, this particular restaurant or this particular auto shop opened up, because that might be unfair to all the other existing auto shops and all the existing restaurants, depending on the size. But what I think there is an opportunity for us to do is some kind of message, and we have empty banner poles hanging on street poles throughout the city that were Jimmy Johnson flags at one time. We've got real estate in medians and things, and I think there's an opportunity to message. There are a lot of pieces of this jigsaw puzzle that are coming together. And once you see a bunch of pieces in a puzzle coming together, you see the value of the big picture. You see the forest. You don't just see the trees. And so something to the effect of it's all coming together. And 2020 is often used for vision, good vision, great vision. And I think there's an opportunity for us to create some kind of message to people that says, you know what, there are a lot of great things going on in El Cajon, and we have a lot of tools to be able to publicize that, and it doesn't need to be an expensive consultant. We've got very talented staff who are able to do those kind of things.
So any specific proposal? Or
So I'd say let's have staff come up with some ideas by the December meeting, first December meeting, and then let's talk about it.
There's only one meeting.
Only one meeting in December.
Right.
Do we need to vote on this? Council says we have to vote, so so moved as what Steve just said.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
And by the way, that's really clever. That's why you're a marketing guy. 2020 vision. That completely escaped me.
Says the guy with glasses.
Vision often escapes me. All right. So where are we now?
Number 22.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, we have to skip over that, right?
Got to keep you moving along.
Okay. Item 22 is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving zone reclassification number 2327 for the Shadow Mountain residential subdivision. I would ask our city clerk to read the title, but first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
We do not have any speakers, sir.
Then please recite the title.
An ordinance rezoning property located on the south and north sides of East Madison Avenue between Greenfield and Granite Hill Drives from the RS-20 single-family residential minimum 20,000 square feet lots to the RS-14 single-family residential minimum 14,000 square feet lots, APNs 508-120-18 and 512-130-35, pending general plan designation low density residential LLR.
All right, I make a motion then to approve.
Second.
Move and second, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Item 23 is the second reading and adoption of an ordinance amending specific plan number 523 for the Shadow Mountain residential subdivision. I'd ask the city clerk to read the title. But again, Angela, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
No cards, sir.
And please recite the title.
An ordinance amending specific plan number 523 to remove two excess properties located on the south and north sides of East Madison Avenue between Greenfield and Granite Hills Drive from the Shadow Mountain Community Church specific plan.
Excellent. Move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
This brings us to closed session. Mr. City Attorney, will you please recite the title and lead us into closed session?
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council will be meeting in closed session on two items. The first is a conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. The name of the case is Climate Action Campaign versus City of El Cajon. The second is a closed session for conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code section 54956.8. The location of the property is 1001 West Bradley Avenue. The agency negotiators are the executive director, the assistant executive director, the general counsel. The negotiating parties are Waste Management, and under negotiation is price and terms for the lease of property.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to make a motion then to move to closed session.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to closed session. We won't be too long. Go back and finish the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council met in closed session on two items. On the first item, item 24, direction was given to the city's legal counsel. And on item 25, no action, direction was given to the real property negotiators. I'm sorry.
This brings us to adjournment. The regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council and El Cajon Housing Authority held this 8th day of October 2019 is adjourned until Tuesday. Whoop, that's wrong. When's the next meeting? Is adjourned until Tuesday, October 22nd at 3 o'clock p.m. Thank you.